Oh shit. Shit. No, yeah, no, shit, I shouldn't have entered the world. Hello and welcome to the stream, it's your boy Logly. I'm just fighting for my life over here. Oh shit. I'm watching the Joe Rogan Experience.
Joe
The
Rogan
day he
used to
got
be the biggest
compromised.
anti-establishment voice in the world.
You've done zero research on this. You haven't looked into it at all. You're telling me we know all the animals that are in the world?
Testing.
I asked
1,
you
2,
for
1,
evidence.
2,
This is evidence.
3.
A guy saying something is not real evidence.
Sure it is.
No,
Testing
it's not.
You're
again.
telling me stories. Stories
Input.
suck. They're great
There
for
it is.
campfires.
But recently, his audience has started to notice that something is very wrong about what the podcast has become today.
He's been bought out by APAC.
Countless
People?
Huh?
What are you saying?
What do you mean, people? You talking
Yeah.
about
What are you talking about?
black
Don?
folk? What are
No.
you saying?
I don't know what you're saying.
I don't know what you're saying.
I don't know what you're saying.
Okay.
Let's not talk.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Since the start of 2026, Joe Rogan's podcast has lost around 800,000 viewers. And the most recent videos are filled with endless angry comments accusing him of being a compromised sellout. Even his own subreddit has turned against him. The tipping point for many of his fans was how he treated Theo Von in their last 2 episodes together. Theo infamously came on with genuine energy and emotion, talking about mass surveillance, conflict in the Middle East, and societal corruption, clearly looking to discuss these difficult and disturbing topics with someone he trusted. And if you watched this video we did on Theo before, you'll be well aware of how freaked out Theo Von is about these issues. But Joe spent both of these podcasts pushing back against Theo, constantly changing the subject and diverting to awkward jokes.
How much longer does Israel let us stay alive, do you think? That's the big question.
Why are they?
What did you say? Is that AI?
What are you saying?
That's Sora?
What are you saying?
I didn't say anything.
What are you saying?
Huh? Talking about Israel Adesanya.
Oh, well, he loves you. Don't worry about it.
Good call.
What are you saying, son?
Oh, he
Yeah,
called him
what did he say?
son.
What did he say about
Called
the
him.
FD
What are you
file?
saying,
That's what he
son?
said. He looks great.
So that's what made me start to think, oh, none of these guys are really on a side. There's this other third side that a lot of us can't see that
shit.
is just kind of commandeering or fabricating or like infiltrating both sides.
If I could hum a song right now, I'd hum the Pink Floyd song "Money."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's what they were.
Know what I'm
protecting
saying?
Cheddar, that cash, baby.
Protecting that cash. I mean, look how many people are fucking moving out of all these states that are trying to impose wealth taxes. They're trying to steal money from the people that are the most successful.
Framing wealth inequality as stealing from the successful is one thing, but that had literally nothing to do with what Theo was trying to discuss. It was like Joe couldn't bear to validate Theo's concerns for the world. Instead, it ended with this.
But what also, it's like, it's all just a cat and mouse game. People are like, we'll elect the Democrats next time. It's like, but it's all the same shit has been happening forever. They
Yeah,
haven't
they're
been
all
helping
they're
anybody
all
forever.
bought out by
They're letting
APAC, dude.
politicians
They're
slurp on kids.
we're
All of
fucking
our- the
Israel's
money goes to
fucking guinea
Israel, and they're
pig.
using it to get to fucking genocide
Because
people. It's
all
like
of our because all
everybody
our
is scared out of their
politicians
wits right now.
are
It's
in the
like
Epstein
our
files.
religious leaders are afraid to speak out, and it's like the
Yeah,
it's a
same as
time where
our
it's like
religious leaders.
Satan is
They're in there
amongst us,
too.
and our religious leaders are talking
Yes,
about bullshit.
yes, they are.
It's just like, what is going? I don't know, man.
This world is owned by Satan, apparently, according to the Bible,
You think
written
I
by
am?
Hang
man.
out with us. Just chill
I'm
out.
here.
Rather than engaging with Theo's points or supporting him as a friend, Joe just outright says he sounds insane, referencing his medication as the reason for his anxiety about the state of the world. But before we continue, I want to tell you about our video sponsor Chat LLM by Abacus AI.
well done.
You see, if you use AI at all, you probably know how it feels when you have ChatGPT in one tab, Claude in another, Gemini in another, and then you're paying for each single one of them separately. This really adds up fast, and it's such a hassle to deal with. But Chat
Yeah,
LLM
but
just puts
no
them
one-
all in one place.
no one's hearing the
ChatGPT,
truth.
Claude, Gemini,
Let's see
Grok,
how many
DeepSeek,
video-
every major
views
model
this
in
video
one
has.
login. And one of the best features about it is Root LLM.
1.7
where you can type
million
your prompt
subscribers,
and it
100,000
automatically
11 hours
picks the
ago.
best model for that specific
This shit
job.
needs to take
so you're
off
not just
more.
sat there guessing which
All of his
AI is
videos
actually
do.
good at what. But it's not just chat. You can generate images and full videos in there with the top models. They just add the newest ones the moments
Sword,
they drop.
hell yeah.
You can also write and research, build an entire presentation, even spin up a working
Look, did I
website
get
or
a-
full
did I
app
get
just
a
by
blue sword?
describing what you want, all without any code. There's even a humanized feature that strips the robotic tone out so it sounds like a person wrote it and not a bot. And the whole lot is just $10 a month. with 1 subscription instead of 5. So check it out at chatllm.abacus.ai. That's chatllm.abacus.ai, link in the description below. And the community response was brutal. Remember when Joe had a spine? Keep going, Theo, we got you. This is like the Truman Show when he finds out even his best friend is lying to him. Joe shutting down and mocking Theo for making very valid points should be the title for this one. Using Theo's use of antidepressants to gaslight him was such a low blow, and it was profoundly eye-opening. Joe Rogan, who's dedicated 1,500 episodes to alien conspiracies, won't even talk about Palantir and Israel conspiracies for more than 5 seconds. 2013 Joe would spit in this Joe's face.
He's a Jewish.
So Joe eventually apologized to Theo in a later
Not that
podcast.
Jews are all wrong.
So I wanted to do this because
a lot of them are wrong.
Well, number one, because I feel bad, and whenever I feel bad about something, and I felt bad all weekend, I feel like I have to address this. Where I just want him to be okay. A very unusual and very amazing person. The last thing I would ever want to do is hurt that guy. And the last thing I'd ever want to do is say something that would
get you killed by
have people think about
Palantir or AI,
which I'm sure I did. And this is
all
one
of
the
the
reasons why I
stuff that
wanted to make this
Israel
video.
says is trying to
Specifically
come
for referencing
true.
Theo's mental health struggles in another podcast episode. This apology was actually not in his own video. It was tagged on at the end of the episode with the billionaire Mark Andreessen, who is one of the world's biggest financiers of AI surveillance and drone warfare. And there was something really bizarre and
Drone
kind
warfare,
of
man.
insensitive
Come
about
on.
apologizing to Theo in the very same episode.
Cowardly
he lets
warfare.
A billionaire openly advocate for mass surveillance, transhumanism, and sympathy for the elite class. All the things that Theo was rallying against. Joe seems to love to push back against his friends, looking for an honest chat, but he can't bring himself to challenge the powerful people that got us in this situation in the first place, even when they're right in front of
Satan wants
them.
to turn us into a
I see this
computer
with my
chip.
11-year-old
Remember
right now.
that.
Everybody who grows
Remember
up
that.
now
He wants
is
to
going
turn
have AI
humanity
as
into a computer
as
chip.
an augmentation, companion, capability.
Fuck the
superpower.
divine
Right.
human
That
experience
they're
that
gonna
we all
where of a
have.
sudden They have this. They have
Let's
their
go
own capability, they have
cybernetics
this
is what he
enormous other
says.
additional capability.
And he's
And
wrong.
every time they need to figure something out, or every time they need to fill out a form, or every time they need to make an argument, or every time they need to try to just figure
Sorry,
out.
I'm not even paying attention to this anymore.
All of a
I'm
sudden, they have the
going
ability
off
to
on my
tap
own
into this
tangent.
resource that can really help them solve just an extraordinary number of problems.
This Mark Andreessen is one of the biggest funders of military drone programs. So why did Joe never ask Andreessen about the drone program during this episode? Not even once. Instead, they went on for hours misrepresenting the critics of mass surveillance and AI, lecturing the public about how the billionaire class is treated unfairly, which clearly represented a major conflict of interest, as not only does Mark Andreessen have huge financial investments in these industries, he's also an advisor to the CEO of the AI company Perplexity, which is actually one of the biggest sponsors of the podcast. It's why Joe has to use it constantly on air to answer questions. Although his community says he's selling out, but this doesn't necessarily mean that Joe is doing this on purpose. Maybe he really is just unaware of the topics people bring up on his podcast. I mean, that's certainly consistent with how this conversation went with Theo Von.
Dude, in Gaza, there was a lot of I think it was a experimental grounds for a lot of
It's a
insane
genocide in
new
Gaza.
warfare type of possibilities.
It's
Well, a lot of it was
evil.
traditional missiles, right?
Yeah, but there's a lot of like
of
we had a
traditional
doctor one time
missiles.
podcasting, and he was saying that there were
Drone
like
warfare,
bullets that had gone
snipers,
down a child.
Snipers
Just
shooting
crazy,
kids.
like
Shot down, like from a drone that's above them.
yes, like
Yeah,
something in the air.
dude,
And he
they're-
said that there
they're
were drones in
fucking-
the air all day. You know, there's that.
We are the
Palantir company
fucking
was keeping tabs
UFOs
on everything that was happening.
killing the
And now
fucking
Palantir's
children in
involved
Gaza.
Palantir was involved in Gaza. Yeah.
For sure.
Oh yeah, I believe that.
Put that into perplexity.
It would suit Joe to
100%,
be oblivious to this,
100%.
considering the billionaire behind Palantir,
Perplexity.
Peter Thiel, has in fact been a
Something
guest
bought
on the
out and owned by
podcast.
Palantir.
Joe's even been to his house
OpenAI.
not once, but twice,
OpenAI
and has
is-
a very friendly
is
relationship with
100%
him, which begs the
Israel
question,
run.
is Joe intentionally protecting him?
The humans are on the way out. I know a lot of people hate it when Peter Thiel says it. Like, Peter Thiel is a terrible person. He's evil. Do
you think he is?
No. I think he's just telling you the truth. I think he's, when they said, do you think human beings should survive? And he had like this long pause.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And then the
Very
interviewer was like, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. You think human beings should-" Which is not how you're supposed to do an interview. Well, at least not how I do it. I would let him talk as long as he wants. Like, I would let... If you watch my podcast I did with him, is these long-ass
Let
stammers.
Theo Von
He's like,
talk.
everything he does, he wants to be very careful before he answers it. So he wants you to consider what he's saying.
This becomes even stranger when you realize that Peter Thiel was one of the early investors in Spotify during crucial rounds of raising funds. Spotify is, of course, the same company that offered Joe Rogan the $200 and $250 million contracts to host his podcast
They can
on
fucking
their
have
platform.
it, dude.
There's no way to know for sure if
They're
these are
just some
relevant
machine.
connections, but it does go to show how all of these same repeat guests are somehow linked through the same people, the same companies, the same industries, and the same power structures. But that's only scratching the surface of these bizarre connections. Peter Thiel is an alarming figure not only for the military AI and surveillance programs of Palantir, but also for his connections to CIA funding, his obsession with the return of the Antichrist, and his infamous belief that all industry should be monopolized. Not to mention his possible friendships and connections to Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein even described Peter Thiel as a great friend. They met in person multiple times a year, and Epstein invested $40 million into Thiel's venture capital fund. Epstein also actively pushed Thiel's rising political influence. Now, Joe did bring up Epstein during the podcast, only for Thiel to downplay the involvement of foreign intelligence agencies and Epstein. Seemingly at the moment, there's no public witnesses that allege Epstein worked for the CIA, but there have been multiple witnesses to say Mossad was the key player involved in the operation, including Victor Maria Farmer, Epstein's business partner Stephen Hoffenberg, and the ex-Israeli spy handler Ari Ben-Menash.
I went down all these rabbit holes. Was he, working for the Israelis or the Mossad or all this sort of stuff? And I've come to think that was very secondary. It was obviously it was just the U.S. If you're working for Israel, you don't get protected. We had Jonathan Pollard. He went to jail for 25 years or whatever. And
But unrelated, right?
Understood. But if it was an intelligence operation, the question we should be asking is what part of the U.S. intelligence
Right.
system was he working for?
This episode was the perfect opportunity for Joe to push Thiel about Palantir, mass surveillance, Epstein, or transhumanism and AI. The list of topics his audience wanted him to ask was near endless, but instead the podcast episode seemingly fell flat. Yet it's not just about Peter Thiel, far from it. After the physicist Lawrence Krauss came on the podcast, he later tried to personally introduce Joe to Epstein via email, and Joe rightfully rejected this, calling out he had no interest in ever meeting Epstein to begin with, which is something most celebrities can never say. And then there's the celebrity doctor Peter Attia, who constantly messaged Epstein and routinely gave him medical advice. In the files, he emailed Epstein saying, "The biggest problem with becoming friends with you, the life you live is so outrageous, and yet I can't tell a soul." He was on the podcast 2 times in the last year, and yet the topic never came up. In fact, Epstein wasn't even mentioned once. But of course, there is valid discussion to be had about if a connection to Epstein means you were complicit in his crimes, and the short answer is obviously not. Just because all of these guests are connected to Epstein doesn't necessarily mean they were involved with any of the crimes. But the
They
real
were just
question is
gonna
if
name
they
it the
knew
same sword,
something was up.
back to
Just
back.
look at what Cindy McCain said about how everyone around him knew
the
exactly
fuck?
what was happening.
It's like everything, it hides in plain sight. Epstein was hiding in plain sight. We all knew about him. We all knew what he was doing, but we had no one that was
Hiding
legal
in plain
aspect that would
sight.
go after him. They were afraid of him for whatever reason. They were afraid of him.
These were the moments that Joe Rogan's community thought he would start asking the tough questions, as he was now face to face with the very establishment he used to rebel against, the establishment that tried to destroy his life many times over. His fans assumed he would call out the corrupt forces of the modern world live on air, as he'd done this for almost a decade previously. But weirdly, it
this
never
dude is a
happened.
journalist?
Instead, unlike the old Joe Rogan, he would routinely invite this elite group onto his show just for hours of
Dude, this
friendly
guy
chat,
is fucking
with many
void
people
tainted,
wondering if
man.
it ever
I get
occurred to
fucking
Joe
bad
that maybe
vibes
these
from
people aren't
Lothrax
his
and-
friends. Maybe they have alternative motives for getting a direct line to his millions of fans. But it's not as if people haven't tried to warn him of this.
Didn't you get invited to have lunch or something, dinner with Peter?
Yes, I said no.
Did you?
I said no. I'm a little wary of that circle of people, and I'm not saying there's anything inherently evil about them because obviously there's people in there. I don't know that I want to go to a dinner with someone who's going to talk endlessly about the Antichrist.
But yet you'll go to Saudi Arabia
Yeah, of course.
and perform.
Of course.
I've been to Peter's house twice.
Yeah.
I went once with dinner with Eric Weinstein. I forget who else. And then the second time he brought me in because they were going to have lunch with Eric Von Daniken.
Oh, the guy, the Chariots of the Gods.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in. And I know so much about that. So
Yeah.
I was asking him all these questions.
I'm sure he's a very nice guy. Like Peter Thiel. People
is a
that
nice
know
guy.
him
I've
go,
had
he's
him
a
on the
nice guy.
podcast.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
I get invited to a lot of dinners and a lot of things. And what I try to do is I try to say to myself, I need to be able to criticize people and
Right.
make fun of them.
Right.
So, it felt like really weird to go to this guy's house and then shit on him the next day.
Do you think that's part of the strategy of inviting you to go to places?
Yes.
Yeah. I
Most
think so,
likely.
too.
But it
Yeah.
doesn't work because I can't shut my mouth. I can't shut my mouth. So, I mean, I've said things, people in my own family get mad at me because I can't shut my mouth.
Yeah.
So it's certainly not going to work. If you're a billionaire invites me somewhere, it's not going to work. So then you're probably going to have to kill me, and I'd rather you not.
The biggest warning wasn't recent, it was way back in 2020 from his close friend Duncan Trussell. Now it seems almost prophetic.
In a
Duncan
really brutal
Trussell,
position.
you know,
Like, and no matter what, I don't see how you can resist it. Like, the problem with your position is you have this like powerful voice. That's the problem. Is like you're a signal booster, and like
I also got a NASA suit and I can hold my piss for 4 hours, son.
a deeper point, man. I don't mean to do this every time I'm on, but you have such a crazy power that if you're not careful, folks from deep, dark wells of perspective are gonna infiltrate your shit. Dude,
When you look at how
Maybe
his
already
content has
have.
changed over the years, it's no wonder his
That's
audience
that's
feels
a
betrayed.
it's already
Conversations have
happened
been dumbed down and sanitized. The range of guests
moment
has
from
narrowed.
Joe.
Even entire episodes have been deleted. Now fringe and alternative voices are in the minority. In their place, he's hosting government agents, powerful billionaires, and Epstein associates as regular guests. But not to grill them with the tough questions his audience wants answered. More often than not, these episodes are shallow, friendly conversations with the very people Joe once fought against. What was once a platform for stoned conspiracy theorists, with a huge range of weird, interesting ideologies, is now just a tiny group of polished elite guests that just give the same talking points every single episode. It seems clear that one of the moments that could have influenced this change was the Spotify deal, when over 300 hours of content was deleted from the catalog over a period
And
of
when
2
I
years.
unsubscribed from
Infamously,
Joe
one of the
Rogan.
biggest targets of this takedown was Alex Jones. He was wiped from both Spotify and YouTube, likely meaning he will never return to the podcast ever again, even though he had some of the biggest podcasts in Joe Rogan history, with some episodes gaining over 10 million views, which seemed like a crazy slap in the face for everyone who thought his podcast was free from censorship and curation. Back in the 2000s, before the deal, Joe was constantly warning about censorship and media suppression.
Yeah,
Dangerous towards the
I know.
marketplace of free ideas.
that's why he's
The marketplace
fucking
of ideas
retarded.
it's extremely important. And I would think that if anybody would know that, it would be the people that are involved in tech.
You would think so.
Yeah.
Even so, there's no smoking gun for Joe Rogan being a compromised asset. In fact, overall, Joe Rogan has been one of the most important people, taking down the media and legitimizing independent creators. But for many people, the real turning point was when the UFC's Dana White revealed how he pushed Joe to endorse Trump in the 2024 election.
If I understand, you called Rogan as the campaign between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump was winding down. You called Rogan, I think, and you said, "You're going to endorse or not?" What happened?
Yes.
Tell me about that conversation.
I was flying to Mar-a-Lago, me and Frank Fertitta, for election night. And he had done the podcast, and the podcast was blowing up, pulling huge numbers. And I texted him and said, "Are you voting for Trump?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "Then endorse. Why have you not endorsed him?"
doesn't matter.
What
Doesn't
is it?
matter.
He said, "I'm just busy. I'm this, I'm that."
I'm busy.
Yeah.
He said, "I'm busy."
Yeah.
Please. So what happened?
He endorsed.
You think so? That was you. It's on you.
Is it on me?
But you gave him the extra shove.
Yeah, well, I had been working on him for a few years.
I had been working on him for a few years certainly seems like an odd way to put it. And this pressure has clearly worked. Joe has visited the White House on multiple occasions, once for a tour and an executive order photo shoot.
You're at the White House all the time now.
I've been there a couple times. Yeah, it's weird. It's very weird.
Oh, dude,
It's also very
you're gonna
weird
steal
because
my chopper?
as much as people hate Trump and hate his decisions and hate what he's doing and hate how he talks and
how he doesn't release the
my
Epstein files on
experiences with him
time
personally
and
have
gets
always been
fucking
fun, unfortunately.
redacted
Unfortunately for everybody
from all
else.
of it.
Like, you know, if he likes you and you're on his good side, he's a fun guy to be around.
Yeah.
He says a lot of fun shit.
Yeah,
The
sure.
man loves America. He genuinely does.
Yeah, he loves
really
Israel
does.
too.
Like, he wants to make the White House look better. He wants to build this ballroom because he
Yeah, dude,
has
that guy totally
good
fucking
intentions
snaked
in
me.
terms of America.
On this podcast with
Damn.
Cameron Haynes, he
Wow,
tells Joe
way to
what may
go,
seem obvious
Joe.
relating to the executive order
You fucking
on
sold
land
it to
ownership,
me like you
that
sold it to
these
the rest of
photographs
us.
are more about getting public endorsements from influencers rather than actually trying to help the country.
You don't remember the Epstein files where all the influencers had the binder?
Well, it was Pam Bondi.
Yeah, but
there was there was a few other influencers.
But
right?
they can use people like us for their messaging.
Uh-huh.
And then they invited
The
me
believable-
back again.
the
After now, I've been
believable
pretty
people.
critical of this administration just because I care, and it's just like I don't have to agree with in lockstep with the person I voted for. That's our right as citizens to be like, I voted for that, but I don't agree with this, and I'm not happy about this, and I want you to know. And Trump signed an executive order, something about public land, and all it was a pomp and circumstance photo op to get executive order. Nothing has happened to it. Nothing has happened with it. No action's been taken. It was like all it was just they can make a press clipping out of it.
Theater.
It sounds like the exact same situation with Joe's visit to the White House, when Trump signed an executive order for ibogaine usage in treating veterans for PTSD and opioid addiction. Obviously there's nothing wrong with endorsing a politician, but what was strange is that just 2 years before the election, Joe said he didn't endorse Trump and would never try to help him. And that's not the only political change that has happened over the years. Joe was almost always apolitical. He didn't really take sides with specific parties, but instead specific policies. He was pro-weed legalization, free speech, gun rights, heavily anti-war and skeptical of the government. He was also fully on board with many popular conspiracies at the time, and due to his podcast, many people learned about new things in the world, new perspectives, new truths that would never be told by the mainstream media. He even released a whole montage on his official YouTube channel in 2014, which lays it all out clear as day.
This society is so greedy, we're willing to go to war. We're willing to go places and send these big metal machines that kill people and people up just so we can make more money. And the way our society is set up, I mean, I've heard it argued, and argued successfully, that our society runs on war. You know, it runs on the domination of the other parts of the world. And literally, that's the only way you can control a gigantic chunk of the globe. You have to keep everybody down. You know, and that's what our society is based on.
Cut to today, and Joe is making excuses for the war in Iran and the various corrupt actions of the establishment that flies in the face of what he used to believe.
What is this, Jamie?
The gold beeper gift that Netanyahu gave to Trump.
That's hilarious.
Jesus.
He gave him a beeper. That's pretty gangster. That's right up there with the auto pen picture replacing Biden's picture.
That's wild.
That's pretty crazy.
That's crazy.
It's not cut and dry. Like, look, I'm the last person that thinks we should go to war. That regime is spooky.
Clearly, some of the principles he had in the past have been changing. The problem is, those are the principles that made him so popular in the first place. It was why the mainstream media would do everything they could to silence him. It was his motivation to discuss topics that were censored by everyone else. So it's not really surprising people feel weird about the podcast direction. Just look back to his 2013 TV show, Joe Rogan Questions Everything. It aired during the golden era of the podcast and was an all-out quest into everything conspiratorial. It explored UFOs, psychic powers, and transhumanism as he traveled around America, interviewing experts and theorists. It was the perfect representation of all of
Transhumanism
his
is
beliefs and his
the
view that you
demon
should always
that
question
Satan's
everything
doing.
the mainstream tells you. But even this had a
He wants to
pathetic
turn
taste of
humans
what
into
was to
robots,
come.
batteries,
I'll tell the
fucking
government right now.
machine
Tell you right now, if you're listening,
automatons.
NSACA, I'm available. Okay, if you show me all the real wreckage, I swear to God, I will make fun of that crap to the end of time. I'll make up stories.
Satan hates free will.
I'll lie to my mother. I don't care. You show me a UFO, I'll lie to my mother.
All of this is making his fanbase speculate if he himself is somewhat compromised. Obviously there's no way to truly know this, but it is becoming undeniable that his guests have major conflicts of interest that extend directly to Joe himself, including in the way he thinks. Today his transhumanist beliefs have completely changed and sound like a carbon copy of the tech elite's narrative.
One of the weirder ones that people think this is a stupid take, but I don't care. Jesus was born out of a virgin mother. What's more virgin than a computer? So if you're going to get the most brilliant, loving, powerful person that gives us advice and can show us how to live, to be in sync with God. Who better than artificial intelligence?
Than
to
a
do that?
fucking
If
computer
Jesus
that
does
doesn't
return,
know humanity.
even if Jesus was a physical person in the past, you don't think that he could return as
Dude,
artificial intelligence?
he was.
Like, artificial
He
intelligence
and he
could
wouldn't.
absolutely return as Jesus. Not
Dude.
just return as Jesus, but return
Don't listen
as
to this
Jesus
shit.
with all the powers of Jesus.
Whoever
Yeah,
you
that's what
are,
Lucifer, I
ever
think, is,
listening.
a plasma ball of inverted souls, which they're going to tell you is Jesus, and it's not, by the way. Anybody telling you that a man-made AI Jesus is a Jesus, I mean, that's a Luciferian. That's how you spot him, so you know.
Then I'm a Luciferian because I've been telling people that.
Well, you hang out with tech people, and they probably beam it in your head.
No, it's just a silly idea that I had. The silly idea is that AI is going to make better versions of AI, and if it just keeps doing that, ultimately it's going to be like a god.
Do you know what they believe? In the future, an AI is God?
Oh, that's my religion.
Yeah, it's called Luciferianism. I don't know if you know that. But
I don't really believe that, folks.
Well,
Just get it together. I think God was already here.
Yeah,
But-
I would say it's likely that it already was. But these maniacs think they're going to make a god.
But maybe Joe has been in this game too long. Maybe he doesn't want to always ruffle the feathers. Maybe it's exhausting having a family, all the money in the world, and still, after decades, trying to go up against the mainstream establishment. And of course, the audience will always project their own idea of who Joe is, to the point where the vision bears no resemblance to the real person. The only inevitable result is the fanbase will feel betrayed that the person they thought was real never existed at all. The infamous journalist Hunter S. Thompson once commented on his fame.
I'm really in the way as a person. The myth is taken over, and I find myself in an appendage. I'm not only no longer necessary. I'm in the way. It'd be much better if I died. Then people could take the myth and make films. But I have no choice. I have to solve this problem.
What am I supposed to do here?
So I suppose that my plans are to figure out some new identity. I have to kill off one life and start another one.
Joe, it's just weird because it's like you're like a.
But it's not me. It's what they think I am. It's who they decide I am.
Yeah, but you have to watch out because
they
people are gonna like try to exploit you. That's the main thing. Is like people recognizing what you are. You have political agendas will infiltrate your and then start blowing out their radioactivity into the world. Right? That's a fear.
Like radium, like face rotten.
Bro.
Yeah, exactly. Like they'll
Joe,
get in there, and then like all of a sudden, like you accidentally
Joe's
start
retarded.
exhaling.
He lost his
Throughout
fucking...
all of his career, Joe
He's lost
Rogan
his
has been
soul,
led
man.
by his innocent curiosity, which is by no means a bad thing. But his audience is a clear and open target for those looking to influence society, and the people he now surrounds
shit.
himself with are the very establishment he used to say were the problem with society.
I need to fucking stop this. Alright. I'll watch the next video. Let's not do any of this Taylor the Fiend stuff.
Do women regret leaving
In front
men?
of my stream.
Absolutely they do. And
Well,
the main
maybe.
reason is because prior to divorce, they anticipate that their life will get better afterwards.
Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Taylor the Fiend back again, and today we've got a video for you from Gentlemen's Club taking a look at women over 30 finally hitting the wall and realizing they should have kept the good men that they threw away. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments, and let's jump right into the video.
If I don't find a man by the time I'm 35, I'm straight up marrying for life insurance.
Nothing says wife material quite like openly planning to outlive a husband for the insurance check. Absolutely disgusting.
Okay, I am a 36, almost 37-year-old single female living in San Diego. And I was seeing a guy for over a month and could not get this guy to ask me out on a proper date. It was like pulling teeth. He wanted to stay at home, get takeout, just be on the couch, and I'm just curious if I'm the only one going through this. And at the end of it, I mean, we're no longer talking. There was about 11 days of radio silence to the point where you're questioning, like, is the guy dead? No, he found someone else. So, yeah, I guess I'm just scratching my head for all the single females out there. Are the men just not putting in the effort anymore?
A whole month of pulling teeth to get one date, and she still calls that seeing a guy. That is the part that should be alarming. The 11 days of silence were not a mystery. The man simply found a better option and quietly took it.
I came to the conclusion that the reason why men don't want me is because I am simply funnier than them. They can't comprehend that a woman is beautiful and funny at the same time. Baby, it's me.
Imagine being rejected this many times and landing on "I'm just too funny" as the diagnosis. This is so damn delusional, man.
Whenever I start dating someone, I let them know, yo, I'm high maintenance and annoying. And then they laugh because obviously I'm so funny. And then sometime later, it's like, oh, this isn't going to work out because you're high maintenance and annoying. Yeah, I told you that. You thought I was fucking joking.
She literally tells them the warning label out loud and then acts betrayed when they read it. Turns out the men were not laughing because she was funny. They were laughing because they thought that she was kidding.
Okay, ladies, I hate to say it, but I have to say it because I am sick of this and I'm speaking to myself. Why do we never give the nice guy the chance? Like, why do we look at the nice guy like the ones who's just annoying and just thirsty and they're always available and not attractive to us? And meanwhile, we're complaining that we're getting dogged out, that we're dealing with manipulative, narcissistic men who can't treat a woman right. Not even men, little boys who don't know how to treat a woman right, who just fumble us all the time. Like, we complain that we get treated like that, but 9 times out of 10, we overlooked the nice guy to deal with this man. Boy. Like, I don't get it. Why do we do that? In 2024, can we stop doing that? I'm speaking to myself too, because I hate that I do this too. Like, can we give the nice guys a chance? Let's give the nice guys a chance. I want the nice guy. I want the guy that's texting me, "Good morning, beautiful. I hope you have an amazing day today because you're such a blessing and I'm grateful to know you." Like, I want that guy. I don't want the guy that's texting me, "Hey, what's up?" Can we stop doing that? This is not it. Like, in 2024, we're going for the nice guys.
It is almost progress that she can name the pattern out loud, but she still calls the nice guy annoying and thirsty in the same breath that she claims to want him. Wanting to be treated well while finding kindness unattractive is the entire problem.
Being friends with women in this generation is getting more and more impossible. I usually just stay at the house and read some books because women are really, really hard to be friends with right now. It's something about this generation specifically that makes them, like, actually so insufferable. Every woman is claiming that they hate all men, and I cannot get behind that train of thought. Like, how disrespectful to your father, your brothers, your future son, like your future husband. I will never in my life understand that train of thought. Because it's these same women that are going to wake up in their 30s, single and alone, and wondering what happened. Why am I alone right now? And it's like, well, if you hadn't spent your 20s saying awful things about men, maybe you could have.
Yo, I'm just gonna let my algorithm
but instead,
fucking
you're gonna sit there,
run
40 years
while I
old,
play.
listening to Taylor Swift with a bunch of cats around you. Can't we all just be nice to men for once, please?
He is not wrong that walking around announcing you hate half the population is a strange personality to build, and that is putting it lightly. The funniest part is these are the same women who will be shocked when nobody is left to disrespect.
A lot of women are asking, where are all the good men? Where are all the good men? Well, you're not sitting there asking what you've done to destroy the good in them. That maybe you've destroyed everything good in them because you've decided to weaponize their vulnerabilities. And now they don't want to do that anymore. They only want to show their fake strengths, and if they even have them. And if not, like you see them as weak. It's really a shame.
Finally, a take that points the question back at the people asking it. You cannot punish a man every time he opens up and then go searching for the open, soft-hearted man that you trained out of existence.
You know what's embarrassing? Begging him to act right when there are other men in your life begging for a chance.
Chasing the one man who ignores you while ignoring the 10 who would treat you well is the whole movie here. Like, this is exactly what women do all of the damn time.
I feel like where a lot of women go wrong in relationships is they feel entitled, right? A lot of men have to deal with this during dating because women expect men to literally read their minds. The thing is I feel like women need to stop comparing men to their ex or guys that they meet. Doesn't matter if he's more muscular, more tall, whatever, like those. It's just looks, or your ex set the bar so high that whatever it is, whatever the fuck it is, instead of comparing your current partner to other people, start focusing on whether they're a good person and start focusing on their actions. A lot of the times, women will realize that they messed up comparing their man to other people because they thought those other people were better simply because they weren't dating them, so they didn't get to see a bad side of them. When I'm in coaching, will be in my bio.
A rare clip here where a woman aims the criticism inward instead of at the nearest man, comparing every significant other to a highlight reel of an ex that you no longer date or never dated in the first place is a guaranteed way to be disappointed forever.
So my friend and I recently had a conversation about having had a hoe phase, and we both agreed that it really changed our perspective on dating in a positive way. It made us realize that all we ever wanted was a loving, healthy, and happy relationship. Like, we do not want to have multiple flirting connections with people that we barely know, because when you are in a hoe phase, you go out with people, and then after every date, you just feel even more empty or exhausted than before because you're not really connecting. Like, you would be physically next to the person, but emotionally you're not even on the same bandwidth, and it could be very draining. And the reason why people fall into this whole phase pattern is because first, usually they just move to a new city or like new country or even like a new state. And then second is if they just got out of a long-term relationship. Because of those two scenarios, you don't really know how to cope with being single. And so you want to explore new connections. You want to just go out and have fun, but you also don't know what you really want. And you just go with the flow. But at the end of the hoe phase, you just feel completely exhausted and drained. This video is not to say that you have to have one, but if you went through one, you know that you would never ever go back to that black and like depressing hole of just trying to meet people to feel less lonely, but you ended up feeling lonelier. It's even lonelier to be in a hoe phase compared to being just single.
It is wild that it supposedly takes years for people to discover emptiness and then, you know, say that they wanted love the entire time. Like, notice how this is normal for women, by the way, and then they expect dudes to marry them after the fact, after they've gone out and hooked up with a whole bunch of guys. Absolutely not, man.
How people still not realize that feminism is a sham? It's a scam. I'm telling you, it is a robbery. It's robbery of womanhood. Because my thing is like, everything they push for is opposite of what actually truly makes women happy and fulfilled. And I'm just like, how are people not seeing that? It's sad because people don't realize it.
Look, this is base material for my primitive monkey mind. Let's not expose my deep-seated hatred of not all women, but the state that my brothers endure. Ain't healing for shit, Erator. this song. I'm tired of this. Let me see what else I have on.
And essentially, he's not very nice. He kills a lot of people, basically.
I don't want to listen. Come on, dude. The basement.
Today we're talking with Dr. Andrew Gallimore. He's a Cambridge-trained chemist and neuroscientist, and he spent 30 years studying one molecule, DMT, what he calls the world's strangest psychedelic. Many people report meeting entities when using DMT, and Andrew has a theory about them that's not exactly mainstream. He writes about this in his book, Death by Astonishment.
Death by astonishment. Finally, a cause of death that isn't fell out of a window after questioning the official story of the CIA.
He thinks the beings people meet on DMT might not be hallucinations. They might be real, alive, sentient, and living in another dimension. And he makes a pretty good case, because there are people who take DMT for years, and then one day a creature waves a finger and says, "You're not welcome here." It's called a lockout, and some people stay locked out for years.
Oh, so the machine elves have bounces? I better be respectful next time I'm in a machine elf champagne room, huh?
Today we're covering where DMT comes from, what it does inside your brain, and a new theory he built with cognitive scientist Donald Hoffman. It connects the whole thing to consciousness itself. After our conversation, I'll come back with a little quick analysis, but until then, grab a brain bucket, because this one goes deep. Let's go down to the basement. Dr. Andrew Gallimore, welcome to the basement.
Good to be here, AJ. Thank you very much for having me.
As good as can be. I guess just quick disclaimer before we get started. We're not endorsing anything, any drug use. We're not promoting it. None of that stuff. That being said, we both have experience with psychedelics, so when we're talking about it, we have been there.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I thought I heard you say at 7 or 8 years old, you're into ghosts, vampires, werewolves, all the paranormal. It looks like you have just upgraded your monsters to a new level. Is that what happened? Is you're just the monster kid?
That's pretty accurate. I mean, I was into, werewolves, vampires, ghosts, the occult, Ouija boards. My parents were horrified. I mean, it's like the headmaster of the school had to call in my parents, my father specifically.
What were you doing that the headmaster got involved? What was that specific?
Stories.
You were telling stories?
I was writing. So when
the
teacher said, write a story, I would write these most horrific, because I'm going to defend myself a little bit before
You were that kid.
I was that kid, but I've got quite a big family, so I've got 2 older brothers, 2 younger brothers. So I'm right in the middle, and the 2 older brothers obviously were a huge influence on me. My oldest brother, Ian, when I was kind of 6, 7, 8 years old, he was like 12, and so he was more mature, and he was very interested in horror movies, and like in those days there was like banned movies. Remember that? Like,
sure.
This one's banned. And
Faces of Death.
Faces of Death and Cannibal Corpse and this kind of thing, right?
So you have to watch them.
Right. So he'd mail off for some VHS, copied, pirated.
Yep.
And we'd come back, and then he'd watch these movies in the living room, because there's only one VCR in the house, of course, in those days. And I would sit and watch them. My parents were very relaxed about this, until I started kind of reproducing these kind of things in my stories at school. And I think my headmaster was slightly concerned that I was, going to be the next Michael Myers or something like that.
Or the next Neil Gaiman. What was that last straw story about?
You want me to say it, really?
Yeah.
So in the story, it was a story about an escaped lunatic, inspired by the Halloween movies. He escaped from the sanitarium, and he murdered several people. And then in one instance, he came across God, do I want to say this? He came across a woman with her baby in a pram. And anyway, the baby ends up being diced. And I use that word.
Diced.
Diced. with a spade. And the headmaster was understandably, in retrospect, thought, this is like a... I mean, I was like 7 years old.
Oh, God.
It's elementary school, anyway. And so, yeah, he used to like, every day at the end of school, he'd come to the classroom and he'd check through my work and check that I wasn't writing horrible things. Yeah, so it was...
What did your folks say about that story?
Yeah, they had a word with me and said maybe you should, maybe write about nice things.
But they weren't. You weren't worried about you being.
No, they knew where it came from.
Right.
It was just the influence of my older brothers. But still, at that time, it wasn't just that story. It was that I was interested in the occult, things that 7-year-olds aren't normally interested in. And I was quite an advanced reader for my age, so I used to go to these old secondhand bookstores and try to find books about ghosts and vampires and things like that. And I really believed in them. I wanted to be a ghost hunter when I grew up. That didn't come true, but in a way it did. In a way it did.
Yes.
There we go.
When I was 9, I bought a mail order book on witchcraft and the occult, and I had quite a sit down over that book.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So,
yeah.
so I get it. Picture this. You spent years searching for a hidden treasure. You followed the clues, crossed deserts, climbed mountains, and finally found the chest. You crack it open, and standing next to you is the guy who buried it. And he smiles and says,
"What the fuck is this?"
Now you're in a fight over something valuable, and the other side already knows every trick in the book. There's a reason you wouldn't want to handle that battle alone. It's the same reason Morgan & Morgan has spent more than 35 years fighting for the people. They're America's largest injury law firm, with more than 1,000 lawyers and over 100 offices nationwide.
What
Morgan & Morgan
the
was founded
fuck?
after John Morgan saw how difficult it was for ordinary families to stand up to powerful interests after his brother suffered a serious injury. Today, they've recovered over $30 billion for their clients, and they'll fight to get you the compensation you deserve. Not all law firms are the same. Hire the wrong one, and you may be beat before you even start. If you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan, and their fee is free unless they win. For more information, you can go to forthepeople.com/why. So take us from there to the...
What the
I know you
fuck
told the
was
story
that
many times, but I have
advertisement?
some
What?
follow-ups. Take us from there to 1996. Your friend shows you a magazine.
Yeah, so when I...
What magazine was it?
I don't remember. But it was after I graduated from high school, so in the 2 years, we call them A-levels in the UK. So I was 16 years old, I guess. I started to get interested in psychedelics, reading about psychedelics, and talking a lot about psychedelics. I started studying chemistry, biology, and I wanted to be a pharmacologist. I wanted to study drugs, basically, how they affect the mind.
What drew you to psychedelics specifically? Especially for someone who didn't take them.
At the time, I didn't know. But when I think back, the interest in ghosts and werewolves and vampires, it's unusual things, I guess you could put it in the most broad sense, I guess.
That's what tracks for me, is you've always been into the alternate realities and...
Yeah. And because I
Y-Files is compromised too.
The Unexplained.
Honestly.
It's one of those ones that came out every week, and you got the binders, that kind of thing. I ordered it specially from the newsagent, and within there was a lot about ghosts and all that kind of stuff. But then there was stuff about like ESP and UFOs and things like that. So it's not so strange that as I became an adolescent and started to mature, that my interest shifted away from just ghosts and werewolves and into more serious things, I guess, more scientific things. And psychedelics seemed to be a way of altering your mind, of altering the structure and the dynamics of your reality. And so that kind of excited me. I wanted to know how that worked. So I'd been talking about it a lot at school. And then one day my friend, I can give his name actually now, is Noor Abbas. His name is. He's actually, interestingly, or he was a few years ago, the chief designer for, what's his name? He used to be married to Kim Kardashian.
Okay.
Yeezy. used to have the Yeezy shoes.
Everyone's screaming at us right now, but I don't remember.
You're
Oh, from the show.
No. He's like a black guy. He's the most crazy guy that was on Rogan. He's been on Rogan. He's been on He's most. Everyone's going to go crazy.
Yeah.
After the break, we're going to find that out.
We will.
Kanye West.
Kanye.
Yeah, Kanye. He was a chief designer. He became a fashion designer.
These guys are so fucking fake. It's unbelievable. I'm going back to fucking music, dude. Does she even drink it? Know what I'm doing right now. Flying around as a jellyfish. Okay. kind of tired. And it's a AI animated girl who can't even sip her cup of coffee or tea or whatever this is. It goes right up to the lips and then she looks down and it's...
We're going to be talking about Keir Starmer resigning. And get a load of this. They found every single person they could to applaud for Keir Starmer, and there was only like 20 of them. There was only 20 people in the UK who would applaud for this. And they found him. They managed to round them up. Taxpayer money, they found him. Two-tier Keir. Here he is. Shed some tears, fat. Then again, they're probably applauding the fact that he's resigning. In which case, that wouldn't have been so hard to find. That's probably why they're clapping. They're clapping because they're happy that he's resigning. Finally, you listened! Good job! Good job! We've been saying this for ages! Good job!
Thank you. Thank you. Walking up this street 2 years ago was the proudest moment of my life.
Couldn't wait to ruin the country, Keir?
A new Labour government, the first in 14 years. A page in our country's history turned after years of disappointment.
Run that by me again there, big man.
A new Labour government, the first in 14 years. A page in our country's history turned after years of disappointment.
He is the lowest polling prime minister ever. He is history. He's breaking records, okay? He is going to make the history books as the most unliked, the most hated prime minister ever. And he just said that? Wild. The delusion runs deep.
And despair. The chance to change the lives of millions of people for the better.
Yeah, millions of Muslims, not us. He ruined ours. Ruined our lives. What he's saying there is millions of Muslims. We've changed their lives with free taxpayer money, shit tons of mosques, loads of free cash and free housing. Oh yeah, free hotels for all the immigrants. We've done so much to destroy white people.
That's what I came into politics for.
Yeah, we know. We know that's why you came here, to destroy everything, buddy. You had a baseball bat swinging down by your ankles on your way into number 10. You were like that guy from Walking Dead. What is it, Negan? You're like that guy. You were walking into number 10 with Lucille, dude. You were looking at the country and you were like, well, looky here. And you were ready to swing the baseball bat and smash some British brains in, you big smelly
The journey to that point was not easy. 6 years ago, I inherited a Labour Party that was politically, financially, and morally bankrupt.
Oh, Keir Starmer, you can't. Oh, well, do you know what? It seems like you actually could have gone lower. That is wild. Morally, financially bankrupt. Apparently not. Just when you thought he'd hit the rock bottom, there's another chamber below that. You went even further down. You were like, what's this? You think this is bad?
I was told time and time again
to resign,
that my party was finished.
It is. They were right. You should have listened, bud. They were right. They were right all along.
That we were consigned to history. That a majority at the general election.
Why is there Christmas songs playing? Can you hear this?
Let alone a landslide majority, was impossible. But we proved those people wrong because we changed our party.
By importing a ton of voters from outside countries to make sure that we inflate our numbers.
Ripping out the poison of anti-Semitism.
How many anti-Semitic attacks have there been? I think a few, right? Some of them made the headlines. In fact, some of them, there were a bunch that were so bad this year, this gave them like 25 million quid on a bunch of free bespoke ambulances. Fight against anti-Semitism, and then he brings in a ton of Muslims and puts them right next to the Jews? I don't care about the Jews. I don't give a I'm just saying that this is his value, and he with that too.
Storing trust on the economy, defence and national security, and becoming a party that once again stood proudly with, not against, our national flag.
You banned the flag multiple times. There were multiple boroughs around the UK where they were taking the flag down. There were some councils of certain boroughs around the UK that banned you from flying the flag. I'm almost 100% sure. The flag under this the Union flag and the St. George's Cross, the English flag, both of them have been demonized and vilified and associated with far-right ideologies, and since this guy's been prime minister, I'm almost 100% certain this has never been the case until this guy became prime minister. Only while this guy has been prime minister has our own flag been viewed the way that it has, with contempt in its own country where it's being flown, because there's so many foreigners here. They see it as a threat.
The hard work of change was with a singular purpose. Not power for power's sake, but to change Britain for the better. To build a fairer country with
How's a fair country? How's that two-tier justice system going? How's that two-tier justice system going? It's going pretty well, actually. It's pretty efficient. There's a ton of... In fact, there's 13,000 plus Muslim gang individuals, members, that were let off with a letter of warning under this guy. This guy did that. He was the minister of prosecution or whatever while the gangs were going on. He let out 13,000 gang members with a warning. A warning letter. Don't again. They were operating organized gangs of white girls, something he's never spoken about, by the way, never mentioned it. The fathers of these girls were arrested. The migrants themselves were not. You had Henry Novak's killer that took 7 months for him to even talk about it. Wayne Broadhurst, absolutely nothing.
Dignity and respect, where everyone is seen, everyone is valued.
Except if you're white.
Wealth and opportunity for all.
Except if you're white. You got DEI initiatives purposefully hiring people that are not qualified for the job purely on the color of their skin. You're black, you're in. Great, fantastic. You're white, no job for you. Yeah, a smelly Indian now does that job instead because they do it for cheaper. You're also got free hotels that you're paying for. Your listed buildings and hotels. Yeah, they're migrant housing now.
Not just the privileged few. And look at what we've achieved in just 2 years. An economy that...
Yeah, look what you did in just 2 years. Look what you did.
Is stronger, growing faster than our peers.
I'm almost 100% certain the economy is not doing better. Like, didn't the cost of living absolutely explode after COVID? And it was only mildly slowed down recently, but it's still way higher.
Wages rising faster than inflation in every single month since we came to power.
Oh yeah, how about shout out to all those Gen Zs that just bought a house in the UK. Shout out to all of the... Oh, there's none here. Yeah, none of them have any money.
Investment secured, infrastructure being built, an end...
Yeah, migrant hotels.
...to austerity, with the fastest fall in NHS waiting lists for 17 years.
Because they all died. because they all died. Because the wait list was so long, they all died. All the people on the wait list are dead. So you remove the dead people. What do you have left? Just a bunch of Africans.
The biggest improvement in rights for workers and renters in a generation. The biggest uplift in defence spending since the Cold War.
Yeah, didn't that guy resign recently because you did not spend enough money on defense? Like, wasn't there like a war general or something? There was a guy that was like the Minister of War or Defense for the UK, and he recently resigned because they did not spend enough money on defense. And he was like, what's the point in doing this job?
Small boat crossings falling.
We'll take your word for it,
Asylum hotels closing.
And because you're moving them somewhere else! Because you're moving them from migrant hotels to other places in the UK! That pack of migrants that gang that woman in Brighton were living in a beautiful seaside cottage!
Protecting young people from social media and 500,000 children.
Protecting young people from social media. No, you were protecting them from X. They're still allowed on Blue Sky. On top of that, you only did this so you could still get your digital ID.
Being lifted out of poverty because of the choices that I made. Our reputation in the world restored.
Made me soy jack. Did you see that? He made me soy jack. One more time. Can we get a slow-mo replay on that, please?
Being lifted out of poverty because of the choices that I made. Our reputation in the world restored.
Hey guys, what's your opinion of the UK right now, under this guy being in control?
With Britain once again standing up for decency, respect, and the rule of law.
Yeah, there was a poll done of young people. They a vast majority of them said that they did not want to go to war for the UK. That's how little they give a fuck about this country. He has disenfranchised and disenchanted an entire generation of people that they would much rather be taken over and die instead of going to fight to defend the UK.
Securing trade deals, standing with Ukraine, standing up for our values.
Yeah, standing with Ukraine and insisting that we fight against Russia for them. Joke.
And rebuilding our relationship with our allies in Europe. Change promised by a Labour government. Change fought for by a Labour government.
Keep in mind, he's resigning because everyone hates him and Labour keep losing over and over again. Okay? That's why he's giving this speech here. That's why he's resigning. You might be led to believe that because of what he's saying, he's done such a great job and the UK's the best it's ever been. Except he's being told to resign because everyone hates him because he's the most consistent buffoon we've ever seen. What is he talking about? He shouldn't be standing here being like, I've done this and I've done that. And the UK's never been this good. This should be 8 minutes of him saying, I'm sorry for this. I'm also sorry for that. And when this thing happened, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for not talking about this thing when that happened. I'm sorry for not fixing this. I'm sorry for not delivering on any of the promises of serious work that needs to be done. I'm sorry for not being there for the British people and instead purposefully trying to replace you. Telling you there is not a two-tier justice system when there absolutely is. He should be standing here, not boasting, not bragging, not lying. He should be standing here apologizing while we throw it at him.
Change delivered by a Labour government. But I know the question being asked now is not who was best placed to change the Labour Party, to take us into power and to begin the vital work of improving lives for millions of people.
Millions of people do not include people like me, okay? Those millions of people he's talking about are the millions that must go that Rupert Lowe is talking about. He's not talking about us. Those are the millions that must go. That's not us.
Those questions have been answered. The question my party is asking now is whether I am best placed to lead us into the next general election. I have heard the answer of my parliamentary party to that question, and I accept that answer with good grace.
He denied resigning multiple times. This is not the first time he's been asked to resign. This is not the first moment in his prime minister career that he's had polling and public opinion this low. It's been bad for this almost since day one. It's been super bad. He has been asked to resign multiple times and he has denied to do so. Do you understand how bad this guy needs to be in order for him to get to this point?
Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign.
First in line to be invaded?
resign as leader of the Labour Party. I have spoken to His Majesty the King this morning to inform him of
Over the phone. You didn't do it in person. You did it over the phone.
my decision. I will ask the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party to set out a timetable with nominations opening on the 9th of July and completed by the summer recess. In the case of a contest, this will ensure a new leader is in place before Parliament returns in September. I will remain in post as Prime Minister until the contest is complete, and I will do everything I can
to ruin it even more. If I can't be the best, I sure as can be the worst!
To ensure an orderly handover of power. I will also give my successor my full and unequivocal support, knowing that they will inherit a Britain that is far stronger and fairer than the one I inherited 2 years ago, and better able to ensure the Labour Party secures a second term in office.
Not gonna happen! Bitch, that's not gonna happen! Ooh, it's not gonna happen. Oh, it's not gonna happen.
I want to thank all of those friends and colleagues who have been at my side for these past 6 years or so for their incredible commitment, service, and support. I want to thank the brilliant Number 10 staff and our country's extraordinary civil service who dedicate their lives to public service. And when I leave the biggest job in the country, I shall spend more time on the most...
Running away from the angry mobs trying to kill me. That's what he's about to say. If that's not what he's about to say, it should be what he's about to say. After he's done being Prime Minister, he's going to spend the rest of his life running away from angry mobs trying to rip his head off.
It's an important job. Being the best husband I can to my fantastic wife, Vic, who has been a rock by my side.
The Jewish rock.
Through good times and bad.
Yes, we're getting to the good part. This is the part of the act that I most enjoy. It's the tears. Finally, he sheds a tear. Finally, despite all the people that we have lost. I want you to think back to all of the innocent women and children that have lost their lives, all the parents that have lost their children, the husbands that have lost their wives, the wives that have lost their husbands, to this needless, rampant crime, to the immigrants that have come here and have immediately started gangs, to the women that were gang and filmed, and videos of this humiliation shared.
He's saying
in
gang
migrant
raped and
hotels
raped
between each other. Henry Novak, barely 18, his whole life ahead of him. This didn't say a word for 7 months. Under this have been hundreds of thousands of people that have suffered directly as a result of immigration. And now he sheds a tear because he doesn't get to be the main guy that everything up anymore. I feel nothing for his tears. In fact, they make me mad because not a tear was shed, not a policy was made, not a statement was put out about any of the injustice that white people have had to suffer as a result of this. Wayne Broadhurst, a man simply walking his dog in the middle of his neighborhood, stabbed to death by an Afghan migrant. He said nothing, not a word. I am filled with this seething disdain for this man.
And being the best dad I can to my beautiful children.
Yeah, that you still have. What about Henry Novak's parents? Do they still have Henry? What about their kids? You've got Henry who's died. Murdered, actually. Two-tier policing and migrants, both of them got him. His sister will never be the same again. There are so many parents out there who no longer have their kids because of the that this guy represented. What about the Manchester bombing? The Ariana Grande concert? 23 kids, 20-odd kids dead because of a Muslim terrorist that he knew about, that they didn't want to stop because they didn't want to appear racist. Those kids' beds are cold. Those parents that he failed had to go into their child's bedroom with a black bag and pack it all up. She's not coming home. She's not sleeping in bed anymore. No more school runs. No more Saturday mornings. What about them?
Who are my pride and my joy. Thank you very much.
May every day that passes since you resigned be filled with misery. Now that this man is no longer, as soon as his resignation, as soon as he resigns, every day after his resignation and he's no longer Prime Minister, I hope it is filled with nothing but total misery. I hope he is forever running from the guilt of the things that he has done to this country. He is never going to be able to live a normal life in this country because there are many people in this country who are going to want him to answer for what he's done. He stood up there as the most unpopular Prime Minister in British history, forced to resign because of how unpopular he is, okay? Because of the mistakes he persistently made, because of the blunders he made all the time, because of the spiteful policies the censorship, the tyranny, the two-tier justice system he was complicit in creating. He's resigning because of these things. Not because he felt like he wasn't best for the country, but because he was told to do so. He was told to do this. He even said that himself. He asked his cabinet if he should continue to be prime minister, and they said no, and he said, well, I'm going to respect that. This time he is. That's what this speech was for, was that he's so hated, he's so unpopular, he's so despised that he's been forced to resign. A speech that is meant to encapsulate that should be filled with apologies. I apologize that my countrymen feel so failed, that they feel like I'm not fit for the job. I apologize to the British public that are outraged with how poorly I have governed this country. I am sorry. But he didn't say sorry once. He stood there and said all the good shit that he's done, despite the fact that this is a resignation speech. Because of how stupid he is. Because of how malicious he is. Because of how much he hates the British public. He's been forced to do this. He stood there and not one apology came out of his I'm sorry. I apologize to the British public. I should have done better. I understand why I've been told to resign. No, he stood there and he bragged about that's not even real. And when applied to context, is redundant. Good riddance. You will be despised by this country forever. You were provided with an opportunity while Prime Minister to turn things around so that when your term is over and you go back to being a civilian, that you're not so despised that people want your blood. Instead, this guy was a to the very end, and now he doesn't get the opportunity to save himself. He doesn't get the opportunity to rectify the mistakes he's made. He's going to spend his last few months as prime minister doubling down, tripling down, making things worse. And you know what? The next guy that's coming in is called Andy Burnham. Andy Burnham has only won Makersfield, which I believe is about, what, like 0.3%, 0.03% of British people voted for Andy Burnham because it was just one region, is one area. And he's potentially going to replace Keir Starmer, yet another leader of the UK that no one voted for. Our government is so corrupt. Not just Conservatives, not just Labour. They're all corrupt. In the last 10 years, we've had like, what, 6 or 7 prime ministers? They can't hold themselves together. They're so corrupt. They're so rotted to the core. They're so out of touch with what people want. They ignore the British public immediately. And every single time they're forced to resign and replaced by another None of these assholes know what the they're doing. In fact, they know exactly what they're doing, and it's to the country to death. The amount of leaders we've had in the last decade is a embarrassment. And the guy who was the cherry on top here, the worst prime minister we've ever had, stood there for his resignation speech and bragged about that's not even true. Not one apology. I'm sorry for up so bad. You felt like I should resign prematurely. And then we've got Andy Burnham next, another guy, a guy that no one voted for. Okay, another Labour dude. No one voted for him, and he might potentially be the next leader until 2029. Not that this is related to anything here, but this guy is part of something called the LFI, which is the Labour Friends of Israel. He has been funded by several individuals that are tied to Israel and also Israel military. He's been funded by them. What that has to do with any of this? Absolutely nothing. Just thought I'd put it out there. Andy Burnham, back in 2012, I believe, was a Labour Friends of Palestine. And then shortly after that, he visited Israel and became a Labour Friend of Israel, if I remember this correctly, and has received funding multiple times from multiple different individuals that are tied to Israel and Israel military. He's potentially the next guy. As for what happens to Keir Starmer, I mean, he gets what's coming to him. What's coming to him? No idea. No idea. I'm not insinuating anything whatsoever. I'm not inciting anything, not encouraging anything. I'm just saying that his life is potentially going to be pretty miserable. What happens to the UK over the next couple of months is anybody's guess. This is going to be absolutely wild.
Let me go back. Let me go back.
We're going to be
let me resume the based
Joe
conversation I was having.
Joe Rogan used to be the biggest.
Oh, I went too far.
Imagine someone who goes by the saying, don't chase single girls. If she has a boyfriend, you only compete against 1 instead of 10. A man who went outside his balcony and said, let lightning strike me if I'm a rich loser playboy. And then lightning striked. We're talking about an influencer who became the founding father of Douyin's rich playboys. Someone whose entire personality was built on flirting with multiple women on the street and also live streaming over 7 dates in one night. People all over China called him the most affectionate man in this era, the lover boy that they wish they had. And ultimately, the guy who was crowned by netizens the Grand Master of Flirting. Or depending on who you ask, the Grand Master of Playboys. This is Tong Jincheng. He skyrocketed to over 10 million followers on Douyin in less than 2 years. His entire reputation was built upon walking up to strangers, chatting with women like he's known them for 10 years, and somehow ending up with another date before his stream even ends. Every day he goes walking around in China collecting girls' WeChats and their phone numbers like he's collecting Pokemon cards. Meanwhile, people like me and you are getting left on red for 3 days straight and then end up getting a lowercase OK with a period. Tong became famous because he created this image of being the ultimate smooth talker. Handsome face, bright eyes, smooth talking. Netizens loved this man. Many guys looked up to him as a role model, even saying that a single day in Tong Jincheng's life has more romantic plot lines than their entire existence. And honestly, after watching some of his streams, I can understand why. This dude can be heartbroken one day and somehow still have 7 girls standing next to him. Now here's the funny thing. A lot of people assume that Tong started life as a rich nepo baby with millionaire parents. You know, the stereotype. Except that's not actually true because Tong came from a ordinary working class family. His parents were regular workers and he also just went to a regular school. Throughout university, he was extremely serious and innocent, like the type of guy who wouldn't even date. After university, Tong worked regular jobs. He was a Taobao model and then he worked for a jewelry store as a clerk. Then he tried entrepreneurship, so things like selling clothes and just pretty much venturing onto different opportunities. Most of it wasn't really going well though, so he kept bouncing around different industries until he found something that worked. Then eventually he discovered platforms like Douyin and Kuaishou, and that's where everything changed. Posting short form content was actually something he was good at, so at first he was filming funny videos and skits with his grandmother, nothing crazy, but his audience really did start growing. And when he joined Kuaishou, fans instantly started calling him one of the most handsome streamers on the platform. Then came another major move. He started IRL streaming. And eventually, it laid the foundation for the playboy who would later dominate Douyin. Now there was a moment that became his canon event throughout all of this, and this was before he was famous. He actually did like this one girl, and this one girl was actually his girlfriend. Keep in mind, his first ever girlfriend, okay? So, he's obsessed. But things didn't really end well. Her family didn't believe that Tong was financially successful enough. They didn't believe that he would have a good future. And eventually, she broke up with him. And whether that was the parents or her idea, we don't know. But a viral video started circulating online after that. The footage showed Tong being rejected by his first girlfriend, literally getting pushed to the ground and humiliated. And the internet absolutely ate it up. Except, people started questioning whether the footage was actually real. And eventually, after a couple months later, Tong admitted that the video was staged. It was actually a reenactment of the events that did occur. He said he wanted to use this video as a launch to his motivational storyline. And that staged breakup video would eventually become one of Douyin's craziest comeback stories yet. Because years later, after Tong started blowing up online and making money, he ran into that ex-girlfriend on a live stream. Which is already bad enough, but while thousands of people are also watching, man. And something I've realized from making videos for years is that people only see the finished product. They see the upload, the views, maybe the comments. What they don't see is the late nights staring at the script, second guessing every decision, wondering if a video's good enough, or getting stuck in that perfectionist mindset. But the reality is that taking one step is always better than standing still. That's one of the reasons I think therapy can be valuable. It gives you space to work through the patterns that keep you stuck. For me, even just talking through a thing that I'm overthinking, whether that be with a friend or in therapy, it has a way of making it feel more smaller and manageable. Sometimes you just need to say it out loud to see the bigger picture more clearly. So I want to thank BetterHelp for being the sponsor of today's video, so I can continue making these videos for you guys. If you've been thinking of trying therapy, BetterHelp makes getting started simple. You can take a short quiz and get matched with a licensed therapist. And if the fit isn't right, you can switch at any time at no additional cost. You can also communicate in ways that work best for you, whether that's through phone, video, or text. If you'd like to learn more, click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/Wani and get 10% off your first month of therapy. Now let's get back into the video. Now, she didn't recognize him at first. She only remembers the Tong who was struggling, the Tong who was trying to make things work.
I
the
think
Tong
I'm
who
a
was broke.
fucking
So they started
psychic. I
talking, and
knew.
in many ways, she was still
I
viewing
literally
him
said in
in
my
the lens
mind
of
these
the
are gonna
old
get
Tong.
upgraded
At one
to
point,
rare.
Tong sat down at a bus stop to rest.
Right before it happened.
And she immediately
Wait,
assumed
I
that
might
he
not
was
be
still
psychic,
broke
but
because he was waiting for the bus.
there are so
But Tong
many
didn't say
synchronicities
much.
in my life
Instead, he
where I
simply
feel
got
like
up and walked
maybe
her
I can see the
to his
future.
McLaren. The second she
1
realized
second
that
in the
car
future.
belonged
That
to
was
him,
my dream. That
everything
was my
changed.
dream
Her
last.
attitude
Hang on,
changed,
hang on,
her
hang
tone
on.
changed.
Anyone watching? All right. Okay. Well, fuck. In my dream last night, I was having this conversation with someone, and they were like, "What's your secret ability?" And I was like, "I think I can see 1 second into the future." And damn it, man, there's no way you can predict the future. But anyway, that just tripped me out. Anyway, normal transition. Let's get back into this video. This is really interesting.
The entire mood and atmosphere was way different. Suddenly, she became more friendlier and interested. Textbook behavior. Tong later said that in that moment, he felt heartbroken all over again. Because he knew that she wasn't reacting to him, she was just reacting to all the success that he had. So when she wanted to get into the car, he refused. He told her to leave, and then he also started tearing up. And this became the origin story. The heartbreak that created the Playboy founder. Because from that point onward, Tong started presenting himself way differently. No longer the innocent guy chasing love, his popularity exploded, and he reached 10 million followers in less than 2 years. And on camera, he presented himself in this strange combination of innocence, confidence, and wealth. He's not the stereotypical arrogant rich guy, but he's not the nice shy guy either. He's somewhere in the middle, and Tong goes out as this innocent, rich, yet genius playboy who just goes around hitting on women, flirting with women, and getting WeChats and numbers like it's part of his daily routine. Now here's the thing, when Tong asks a girl for her WeChat, she says thank you, not him.
加个微信吗？我看你老在那边看我。红景城啊，江南第一社群抖音那渣男。我扫你呗。你笑得还挺欢呀，老妹。
Tong also loves to make his Ferrari his entire personality. I mean, the most popular streams are the ones where he has a front-facing camera in his Ferrari and takes a different girl out every stream for a date. There's also another classic Tong move where he shows up to multiple houses in a single stream and surprises these girls with flowers in the front of his Ferrari. Except the flowers are often plastic, because he preaches about how you can reuse them later on. He's also dating multiple girls simultaneously, and openly too. I mean, this man is the physical embodiment of every playboy stereotype fused into one guy. At some point, we might actually need to quarantine him. I'm not jealous. And here are some of his most famous lines. Always go after girls with a boyfriend, because you're competing against one guy instead of multiple. And netizens are like, look at the language philosophy of the founding father.
你来杭州找你男朋友？既然你有男朋友的话，我们可以加个微信吗？如果你没有男朋友就不加了，因为如果你没有男朋友的话，我加你微信我感觉有点就是太随便了。但你现在有男朋友，我们可以加个微信吗？普通朋友嘛，你放心，我也有女朋友。你有男朋友我们加个微信应该不过分吧？可以吧？兄弟们，这没有男朋友我就不加了，分手了找我啊。
Another one of his famous quotes. When you grow a flower and it dies, you're heartbroken. When you grow a potted plant, you don't even know which one dies. And arguably his most popular saying, don't rush into relationships. Be friends first to see if her friends are cuter. I mean, how else are you gonna build a roster like his? And at one point on stream, he even showed everybody his savings card containing over 5 million yuan. That's roughly around $700,000. And because he spoke super confidently, calmly, and having so much experience, most of his male fans took notes and treated him like a dating mentor. Some people thought it was hilarious. Some didn't like how he was treating relationships as a game and also like influencing other men to do the same. But hate him or love him, there was one live stream that you would pay to watch. This went so viral that it set off Tong's career and made him one of the most talked about influencers of the era. 7 girls, 1 apartment, and a 4-hour live stream that millions of people couldn't look away from. The Valentine's Day incident. And on the night of Valentine's, Tong plans to take out a girl named Lin Shui to his house. She gets picked up from his Ferrari, fully dressed up, and genuinely looks like she's excited. Tong's been telling her for a while that he's going to get her these super expensive 99 bouquet flowers because she really wanted it. And these are the flowers that you see all over Xiaohongshu. It's like a standard to have these given to you at least once in your life, or your man just doesn't love you. Now, like, she was struggling with her seatbelt, right? So he leans over to help buckle her seatbelt, slips, and somehow ends up with his face real close. He's like, Ferraris are really low. Sorry about that. And the chat is going absolutely crazy. Now, when we make it to his place and he gets out of the car, he also secretly whispers to chat like, guys, I forgot to bring the plastic 99 flowers since I rented it to a friend this morning. So yeah, they arrive to the apartment and then they go upstairs. But Tong says something to Lin Shui before they walk in. He tells her that he's never invited a girl over to his place before. She is the first, and tonight is special for her. They open the door, and standing inside the house is another girl. She apparently came all the way from Shanghai for Valentine's Day to surprise him. This girl's name is Xiao Mai. She says, I didn't know you were going to bring a girl here. Lin Shui goes silent. She sits on the couch, takes out her phone, and ignores Tong. Clearly she's pissed. So Tong sits far away from Lin Shui and whispers to Xiao Mai, you're ruining this for me. Just let me have this moment, okay? Then he goes over to Lin Shui and explains with complete confidence that he and Xiao Mai are just friends. Obviously. Would you trust your friend with the passcode to your apartment? He then gives Lin Shui some plastic flowers that he found around the place, and they are not the 99 flowers that he promised he would, get her. Tong starts explaining that this is actually a sign of financial responsibility because they're going to get married someday and they can always get bigger flowers later. She's looking at this man like she's about to punch him in the face. And so far Lin Shui and Xiao Mai are so confused of what's going on, but luckily Xiao Mai is trying to make the best of it. She's chatting, building chemistry with Lin Shui, and just, trying to be overall friendly. And then the doorbell rings. In walks a third girl, carrying a bouquet of white flowers, and she barges in like, Happy Valentine's Day! Tong quickly blocks the entrance with his body and says, oh, it's the flowers I ordered. But it doesn't work. She literally pushes past him and sees the scene of two girls at his place. She's confused. Lin Shui and Xiao Mai are like, why did this random girl just show up with flowers? Like, everyone is confused. So Tong quickly put his thinking cap on and introduces her as his hometown cousin, just stopping by for, a quick trip. He also secretly hints at her to just play along for now, so she sits on the couch, takes out her phone, and just starts scrolling. And Tong is like stressing, like he's trying to bail out, but in a way to try to save the situation, he starts talking about how he wants Xiao Mai to make more friends since she's so alone sometimes, so that's why he invited some people here. And then he starts saying how his hometown cousin also has no friends since she just moved into the city. Just rage baiting them at this point.
我也是想让你多交交朋友呢，因为你一个人在外面呢，就接通告、接这通告、接那通告，我觉得太累了，而且身边没有朋友，知道吧？我觉得你，包括小雪也是一样。
Like he's trying to somehow twist it so that they can all fit together without exposing himself. But something interesting happens with the first two girls. Lin Shui and Xiao Mai, who seemed like enemies before, were now ganging up on this hometown cousin. I mean, look how far they are sitting from her. They also start bonding with each other, talking about their hobbies and interests. And then Tong's like, yes, peace and love. I feel like you're all best friends now.
对吧？表妹来杭州多久了？1个月了。啊，1个月了，是吧？也没什么朋友。 是为了让大家能处成好朋友 ，friend, peace and love.
He starts talking about some, I love the harmony I'm seeing in this room right now.
说你们的关系还挺和谐啊，还可以，过得去。你看气氛多和谐啊。
And then he starts slowly urging that, they go out and get dinner and, leave the place because he's hungry. And then suddenly, there's another knock on the door. What is going on at this point? In walks the fourth girl. She says, blatantly, she's here for Valentine's Day for Tong. Tong quickly announces that it is his first time meeting this girl. This is his live stream partner that he does work with, and her name is Mao Mao. And he turns to her and asks her in front of everybody, this is our first time meeting, right? And she just stares at him like, yeah. The other three girls do not find this convincing at all. So he starts begging her like, tell them it's our first time meeting. And she's like, Yes, it's our first time meeting. It's our first time meeting. Also, tell me why this guy just goes ahead and starts adjusting her socks that are clearly not in need of any adjustment. I mean, anything for the views, am I right? Now, mind you, none of these girls know what's going on. They don't know if Tong set this up or if he's just as confused as them. You can tell that Lin Xue is just really pissed and just trying to leave. And they are also all asking each other like what their relationship with Tong is. He's also obviously live streaming, but I mean, he always live streams, right? So this is pretty normal. Now, after some time, Tong proposes that they all become friends. And right now they're all sitting like separately from each other. And then some are grouped together and then some aren't. At this point, there are 4 girls in his apartment who arrive separately and all have different ideas about what this was supposed to be. Tong is trying to find a way out of this situation, and he does realize that he did kind of mess up here and he should probably explain things separately to all the girls. But of course, everyone's in the same room. So he introduced everyone to everyone. All the girls I've ever known in my entire life are here with me right now. I know you all have questions and they will be answered. Let's just hurry and go get dinner, like quickly. Lin Xue, look for the nearest hot pot place right now. And before he can finish his sentence, once again, the doorbell rings. Tong is like, oh, the water delivery is here. Except this girl literally just walks right in knowing the passcode to his place. Oh, so the water delivery knows your passcode?
就是真的就是有送水了，送水知道你家密码了，进来吧。又来一个，请进。
Girl number 5 walks in. Her name is Xiao Pu. Tong, stressing out, quickly grabs the same white flowers that the hometown cousin had brought earlier and gives them to the water delivery girl, Xiao Pu, and says, "Happy birthday!"
Happy birthday to you.
Chat is also going crazy, and everybody, they just stare at him. They see Tong giving away the flowers that the hometown cousin brought 20 minutes ago. Nobody says anything, just silence. So Xiao Pu sits down, and then she asks Lin Xue, "Are you his girlfriend?" And again, she doesn't say anything. It's literally just silence. Like, it's so awkward. I actually can't. Like, every time somebody asks something, there would just be no response. Nobody is replying. And Tong is just dodging questions like he can't hear anything now.
那现在呢？所以你跟我说来你家，然后你说你给我准备花了，哦，都是直播效果。花是我准备的。我跟你说，他跟我说的是你，他说你是直播效果。
Lin Xue is sitting there pissed. Hometown cousin is like, "I fought the rain today to surprise you." Everything's just a mess now, and Tong is just like, "Okay, guys, are we going out for dinner?" Cousin, did you eat yet? Did you eat yet? I for sure didn't eat yet.
我们出去吃夜宵啊！妹妹，我们吃啊，来，我们俩去吃。表妹，吃夜宵吗？
是啊。
表妹吃夜宵吗？
你带大家一起去吗？
At one point, he says, "If the doorbell rings one more time, I'm jumping off."
一会儿如果还有女孩子来，我从二楼跳下去。
Then suddenly, his phone rings, and it's another girl. She says, very loudly too, "Hey babe, are you free? I want to see you for Valentine's Day." And when she called, it was defaulted to speaker, so everybody heard it. So all the girls in the room are like, "Who is that? Who are you?" The phone girl can hear the voices in the background, and she's like, "Who is that? Why do I hear so many women next to you?"
喂，一会儿有没有空啊？
干嘛？
我去找你呗，出来过七夕了，好想见你啊！是谁啊？这是谁啊？你旁边是谁啊？你到底旁边是谁啊？你是谁啊？你是谁啊？不是你旁边怎么那么多女人呀
？So Tong quickly runs to the bathroom while he's still on the phone and starts telling her, "Why would I cheat on you? I'm in a meeting with my mom. Don't start mixing things up. There's so many people here. I'm not alone with just a single girl. There are multiple because I'm in a meeting. So what's wrong with you? Are you crazy?" And then he hangs up, he walks back out. One of them asks, "Is she coming?" He says, "No, absolutely not. She is not coming." And then The doorbell rings. Oh man. And it's the girl that he was just on the phone with. The 6th girl now coming in screaming, "Hey baby, surprise, happy Valentine's Day."
嗨，宝贝，宝贝，你在干嘛呢，小宝贝？
真是
这是个啥玩意儿啊？这是个啥玩意儿啊？进来说吧。
进来说。
这是谁啊？你是谁？你是谁？不要问我是谁。
With 6 women in the apartment now, a miracle happens. The tension doesn't build up. It starts de-escalating. This is the part no one predicted because the girls stop being enemies and realize that they are all stuck in the same insane situation. So somehow they all start becoming friends and even start questioning Tong, like, what is going on? There are also like a million viewers watching this, and like netizens are going absolutely crazy every single moment of the stream. Lin Shui, who arrived as our main girl, thinking that this was going to be a romantic Valentine's Day with Tong, starts leading all the other girls to gang up on him. Tong, who created this entire situation by dating multiple women at once, has gone from being the puppet master to the clown in the live stream. So he finally gives up, gets on his knees, and just begs everyone to go get dinner now.
吃夜宵去吧，不能再待了，再待下去人家又来2个。
He told them that there were no girls coming anymore, like he promised. Everyone's in shambles, pissed, confused, and at this point, Tong makes a call to his mom saying, "Please don't come to my house. I'm gonna be honest, I can't do this anymore. I can't squeeze you in."
喂，别来我家了，宝宝。
你说什么？
我说别来我家了。
后面2个字什么意思？
我们吃夜宵去吧。
我到门口了，什么意思？开门吧。我都快到了，什么意思？谢谢。
说实话嘛，家里挤不下了。
什么意思啊？
家里挤不下。
什么叫挤不下？我是不是听到一个我小姐妹的声音啊？
没有。
He runs out of the apartment, and this girl that he was telling her not to come is just standing right outside. So she just tags along. The other girls later come downstairs, and they're all finally open to go out for dinner. But of course, forcing him to pay for everything. They go out, 8 people at the table. Him surrounded by the 7 fairies he'd collected over the course of a 4-hour live stream on Valentine's Day. And millions were watching live, like netizens gave their applaud, and this was a generational run for Tong. Nobody could deny that this was one of the craziest live streams in all of Chinese internet culture. The clips circulated for months on end, and this was trending everywhere. And tell me why netizens also created a tier list for all the girls he's dated on stream. Honestly, I feel like most of these girls in the stream were playing along because, I mean, a lot of them were also influencers, so they were probably pissed at first, but figured that it'd be good publicity, you know, if they went along with it. But during the stream, it did seem that Lin Shui was the closest to Tong and also the most hurt by what he did because they didn't really stream together after that incident anymore. But at the same time, you never really know when it comes to Chinese influencers, so... I mean, netizens loved Tong for this Valentine's Day stream, and it skyrocketed and made him so much money. He started his own MCN agency called the 798 Guild, and he would mass hire women to go on stage dates with him for content. He continues growing his fanbase at an insanely rapid rate, being the Grandmaster of Flirting, the most affectionate man in Jiangnan, and of course, the Playboy founder. That's all it took, guys. 7 women, 1 Valentine's Day, and 1 hot pot dinner. Some viewers did point out that parts of his content were staged, and to be fair, some interactions for sure, but most of his streams also last 5 hours at a time, and a lot of them aren't necessarily always influencers. But I guess we'll never know. He also recently had dinner with the NBA player Jaylen Brown, and it's actually such a funny collab.
Teach you some American words.
Okay.
Say, no cap.
No cap.
No cap. Chinese food. I love Chinese food.
Which one?
Which one? Fried rice. What about you?
KFC.
Regardless of what you thought about Tong, a regular guy from an ordinary working class family managed to transform himself into one of the most recognizable personalities in Chinese live streaming. Whether you think he's a genius or a walking red flag, he undoubtedly has one of the highest stats of China's millionaire playboys. So guys, if you ever see me live streaming one day with an entire WeChat roster at a KTV nightclub, don't blame the player, blame the game. Oh, you're talking to me? You think I'm cute? Oh, thank you. I just hope you're not an undercover spy or anything who planned all of that out to infiltrate my family by having kids with me, then instantly divorce me to steal all my money through child support. No way, right? But you know who does? One girl in China whose dream ever since she was a kid was to infiltrate a billionaire family by modifying her face to look identical to a celebrity, then forcefully having kids with them to one day use as a trump card to steal all their money and ruin their life. Listen, unemployed kings and queens, I know y'all have been waiting for the tea, the gossip, the juice to be extracted from China's parasocial influencer circle. So let's start from the beginning. The girl who was born to destroy the balance of China's billionaire rich kids. Meet Wei Xue, we'll call her Wei Wei. She was born in 1988 in a poor mountain village in Guangxi. Her parents were farmers, so the family barely had any money, and very early on as a kid, she realized something very important. Beauty is power. So while all the regular kids were playing at the parks and gossiping over crushes, Wei Wei was thinking, how do I get rich fast? So she was definitely no ordinary child. After junior high, she dropped out of school to help support her family as a shampoo girl, only earning like $70 a month. And that's the point where Wei Wei looked at her life and said, yeah, this is not the life I want. While most people reach success by either studying, getting a good job, or starting their own business, Wei Wei dreamed of marrying the rich. Eventually, being a shampoo girl just didn't cut it, so she started working at underground nightclub bars, specifically as a hostess. And specifically in areas where sons of millionaires or nepo babies would hang out. Now, all of these luxury clubs in Beijing and Shanghai are basically free-for-alls to see who has the most clout. All of the rich guys are flexing their watches worth entire apartments, the influencers are trying to get attention, and everybody's just trying to act mysterious. But Wei Wei, she was studying exactly how the rich moved, act, and played. And the hunt began. She learned how to read personalities instantly. Who had money, who was stupid, who was lonely. And eventually she found her first target. Chen Ping, a son of a millionaire who owns a coal mine. They both hit it off and Wei Wei immediately understood the assignment. She researched his family background, learned about their wealth, and decided that this man could be her ticket into the upper class life. And it worked. Chen spoiled her with designer bags, luxury gifts, attention, the full rich kid boyfriend starter pack. But Wei Wei, she's smart. She knew gifts alone weren't security. I mean, rich men can buy bags for anybody. I mean, Chen was wealthy. He was the type to fly first class, eat at Michelin restaurants every week. He was a millionaire, but not a billionaire. Wei Wei, she wanted more. So eventually, she made what would become her signature move, pregnancy. She believed having a child would force marriage. So when Chen was fully obsessed with her, she did some of her secret magic on a condom and got pregnant. I mean, that's a literal crime. Anyway, the child was born. Chen and Wei Wei's first child, a daughter. And in her eyes, this was a mission failed. This is because having a daughter doesn't fully secure her position in traditional Chinese families. You need to have a son to continue the family line because usually they take on the inheritance while the daughter just joins the husband's lineage. Think of it as who inherits your last name. But what makes this pretty messed up is that she forcefully got a C-section at 8:08 a.m. on exactly August 8, 2008, because 8 is a Chinese lucky number. Which is pretty extreme. I mean, it's like if I had to have 8 children because 8's my lucky number. So eventually she did her signature move once again, messed with the condom, did her little magic, without consent of course, and she got pregnant. But this time, with a son. At this point, you probably think that she's done, you know, mission accomplished, future is secured. I mean, you're done. I mean, for a while, her life genuinely did look pretty perfect. She even appeared in a Hunan reality show called Happy Camp as the glamorous, hot mom. But behind that glamorous persona that she was showing off, the marriage was already collapsing. Remember, Wei Wei's mindset ever since she was a child was not to just settle in somewhere above average. She wanted to reach the elites. And in 2014, the internet absolutely exploded when Wei Wei was found in photos at a nightclub holding arms with famous actor Zheng Kai. And they looked very comfortable with each other. Wei Wei's good friend sent her a private message saying that Wei Wei had gone out drinking with other men to celebrate her birthday last night. Unfortunately, someone in the office secretly messaged Chen Ping, who then caught them in the act. Today, Chen Ping has been calling Wei Wei all day saying he wants a divorce, and Wei Wei is too scared to answer. What a wild birthday. So netizens started accusing her of cheating. They started saying how she fell back into her old habits and started secretly working at nightclubs again. Some people started exposing her old ID photos and even calling her a street vendor prostitute. And then, our most beloved, richest kid in China, son of billionaire Nepo baby final boss Wang Situng, makes a post on Weiwei calling her the highest level escort in the lowest class pond. Damn, I didn't know he could roast like that. And eventually, both Chen and Weiwei admitted to having affairs, so at that point the marriage was cooked. So shortly after, they divorced. But here's where things get important. As part of the divorce settlement, Weiwei gets $900,000. And this money became her foundation for her next move, because she evolved. Literally, she took all of that money, went to South Korea to get extensive plastic surgery, all with the plan of transforming her face to look identical to the celebrity Yang Mi. Copy and paste surgery once again. I'm surprised she didn't hit up our girl Wang Jing. And this plastic surgery really made her look like Yang Mi. So she returns to China and started posting and gained the nickname Little Yang Mi because at this point her entire appearance and identity online just revolved around a celebrity lookalike. And you guys, this is probably one of the craziest rebranding arcs that we'll ever see because think about it. She didn't just want to be wealthy, she wanted to be in the big leagues of China's billionaires. And just you wait, because her transformation manifests real hard later on. Now remember Wang Situng earlier clowning her online? At one point, he actually made a post. I never make friends with people richer than me because none are richer than me. And someone in the comments replied with, what about me? And right after that, Wang Situng deleted the post and just never mentioned it ever again. And this mysterious random guy who would even dare to say such a thing to billionaire Sung Wang Situng was someone called Ting Fin, but he goes by King. He is someone who's so unknown that nobody really even knows how much money this guy has. Like, it's amounts that you can't even comprehend. Now, Ting Fin, or King, was born into an ultra-rich family in Shanghai. His father is Ting Sixin, who's an insanely powerful casino junket operator in Hong Kong. And unlike some rich kids who just sit around clubbing and buying LV for every girl in their social circle, King was your typical smart, educated rich kid. He attended many prestigious schools in China and even later studied at Harvard. Now, King wasn't just rich, he had this aura to him. Like, he didn't post much, so he was very mysterious and nonchalant. And this guy even launched his own basketball team with over 50 members, and he even hired a former NBA player, Bernard James, to play for him. And if you're anything like me who loves spending their unemployed days diving into gossip from China's influencer circle, I've actually got you guys something that can help you become a fellow netizen today. And of course, that's Surfshark VPN. Surfshark is an app and a browser extension that lets you digitally put your phone literally anywhere in the world, which lets you browse online as if you were actually there. Let's say you're like me trying to watch some region-locked C-dramas or old TVB shows. I can literally just switch my location to Hong Kong, connect, and suddenly the entire streaming library changes. Not only that, but Surfshark also upgrades your security by encrypting all information sent between your device and the internet. So personal info, passwords, and all your data are kept safe. And the biggest thing is that one Surfshark account works on unlimited devices. They also offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's really no risk of trying it out unless you get emotionally attached to having freedom online. If you want to support me and help out the channel, I got you hooked up. You can go to surfshark.com/Wani or use code WANI at checkout for an extra 4 months of Surfshark VPN. Surf the web safely, and let's get back into it. Then came the moment that made him famous. Enter the LaFerrari incident. One night, King crashed his limited edition LaFerrari worth over $5 million. And instead of panicking like a regular person, there's a famous photo of him just casually sitting out the car playing games on his phone. No stress. Like nothing. I mean, most people would be traumatized if they, crashed their bike. But this man looked like it was just business as usual. Just another day, a walk in the park. Not only that, but this is a LaFerrari, a limited production model with only like 700 units in the entire world, and only Shanghai has 2. And because of this absurd lifestyle, everybody in China gave him the name the Emperor of Shanghai. And just when King was about to get back with his ex-girlfriend Lu Beibei, he meets someone, and that someone is Weiwei. What a random coincidence. Come on, this is not a coincidence. Right after getting surgery to make her face look like Yang Mi, Her eyes locked onto King, and she studied this man like he was an exam. She researched his habits, found out where he hung out, what bars he liked, what type of women he usually dated. She deliberately went to one of the luxury bars that he frequently hung out at every single day, just hoping for a chance to see him there. She had also built this demeanor and charisma to her because not only does her face now look like a celebrity, but she also has years of experience of handling men. Then came the famous accident. One night, Wei Wei was just sitting at the bar, but then she saw King. She knew this was her chance, so she walked up to him, bumps into him, oops, and accidentally spills a cup of wine on him. King was about to crash out until he looked up and saw her face. And it was love at first sight. Because her face resembled the celebrity Yang Mi, he instantly fell in love. I mean, this literally sounds like something out of a drama. Like, it doesn't even sound real, but like, this actually happened. And in this moment, Wei Wei played her cards very carefully. She played that hard to get route. She declined invitations, refused gifts, and just kept her distance. And this is psychologically genius because rich men are just so used to everybody wanting something from them. So when somebody acts uninterested, it activates their curiosity. And slowly but surely, King became obsessed. Wei Wei already studied King's personality. He was a playboy, he dated constantly, he never committed to long-term. So if she wanted long-term security, she needed leverage. And to get leverage, she used her signature move. She messes with the condom again and oops, becomes pregnant. But when King found out that she got pregnant, he did not want marriage at all. Instead, he's like, here's $6 million, terminate the pregnancy, just handle it all yourself. I'm sorry. Excuse me? So Wei Wei took the money, the $6 million to terminate the pregnancy, flew to the States, and she just disappeared. So King was now just peacefully living his rich playboy lifestyle. It's time to move on. That's the end of that chapter. Surely. And eventually he started dating another internet celebrity, Siga. And actually, this relationship was going really well. And they were even publicly flirting with each other. And he actually seemed like kinda innocent in a way with her. Like, he liked her pose, bought her luxury gifts, you know, like the usual regular boyfriend stuff. He was even using like these corny pickup lines. And a couple months later, he was just about to announce their wedding. And of course, just when things are going well, somebody shows up at his front door. The doorbell rings. He opens the door while his family is with him, and suddenly he sees Wei Wei. But beside Wei Wei is a little boy who calls him Daddy? This can't be real. I used to think the most beautiful thing in life was meeting someone. Later, I realized that the most precious thing was actually the reunion. Haven't seen you for a long time. So it turns out Wei Wei never terminated the pregnancy. This whole time she was in the US raising this child up until he was 6 years old. She was waiting quietly, patiently, secretly planning out her next move all those years. And remember, this time, it's a boy. So, it's over. We're in the end game now. No more signature moves, please. Wei Wei gave them two options. Either King marries her, or they pay her $132 million in child support. $132 million? That is generational support. She threatened that she would keep making scenes at their house with the child if they didn't handle the situation. And because ultra wealthy families care massively about their image and their social standing, they folded and gave her the $132 million. Finally, netizens had crowned Wei Wei the Queen of Shanghai, the one who completed the biggest social climb in all of Chinese internet history. After everything that happened, the custody of the child remained with Wei Wei, and King even rented her a luxury apartment in Shanghai so that she could independently raise their son. And apparently later on, she even just outright bought the apartment herself. I mean, from an extremely poor mountain village to owning a luxury apartment in Shanghai, that is one heck of a life turnaround. She essentially just changed her entire destiny. And eventually Wei Wei settled into her life with her 3 children, one from King's side and the other 2 from Chen's side. Oh, and her new boyfriend, who is 16 years younger than her, he is 23. Her full-time job now is an influencer doing live stream e-commerce and selling products, as well as just talking about her entire life story like without shame. She even showed photos of herself traveling in Thailand with King's son for a summer break. She openly admits to everything. I mean, the plastic surgery, the affairs, her manipulation tactics as well.
你们知道怎么跟男生聊天吗？怎么跟男生表白？你们知道吗？你就给他发4个字，你在干嘛？你给任何一个男生发4个字，你在干嘛？在他的脑子里，他都会干成我爱你，我喜欢你。
And what's even more insane is apparently her relationships with King and ex-husband Chen are actually really good. At one point, King and Chen even appeared both in her live streams sending gifts. I mean, what kind of family group chat is this? Yeah, my current live stream viewers include my ex-billionaire boyfriend and my ex-husband sending virtual gifts together while my 22-year-old boyfriend is cheering me on from behind. Okay, and also looking into this even more, it turns out that Wei Wei actually broke up with her 22-year-old boyfriend for like a little bit. And during that break, tell me why her ex-husband Chen and him were celebrating? Like they were hanging out with each other and even doing live streams. In essence, we're like, if I saw my ex-husband and ex-boyfriend hanging out together, I'd feel more disgusted than if I'd eaten shit. After the breakup, my ex-girlfriend's ex-husband spoiled me rotten. Like they literally became besties. If Team Finn weren't so rich, he would definitely join you guys. Now, naturally, public opinion on Wei Wei is still massively divided. Some people genuinely admire her. They see a woman who was born into poverty, used beauty and emotional intelligence, strategy, and social awareness to completely rewrite her destiny. She escaped a life that most people will never escape from. I estimate that there are very few women in this entire country who can reach this level. Some things are truly innate and cannot be learned. I admire her so much, she should publish a book. And tell me why Wang Sitong also replied with, I'd also like to admire the high-level players. Oh my god, the principal is here. This is going to be serious. And of course, other people absolutely hate her. She relied entirely on wealthy men, manipulated pregnancies, and used children as bargaining chips to secure her future. At the end, she got what she dreamed of and ultimately changed her destiny. I mean, what do you guys think? Was this the only choice for her and her kids, or was this all due to her circumstances of growing up in poverty? I just think this whole situation is pretty messed up, especially her signature move. I mean, one thing's for sure, if you ever get into an encounter that just feels too good to be true, or it just feels something straight out of a K-drama, it probably is. So run before a child shows up at your doorstep instead of your Uber Eats. Don't you love how you look? I mean, guys, we all have different traits. Nobody ever has the same face or personality, but imagine if you could. Today, we're talking about a queen, a pioneer, a woman who opened up her own beauty clinic to give people plastic surgery to make them look exactly like her. A prime example of, just copy my homework, but change it a little bit. It's like she's cloning herself. And the patients, they're completely okay with this. Now, this face specifically has been thriving, I mean feeding off of the insecurities of Chinese influencers for many years now. But never in a million years would I have thought that someone would pave the way so that everybody can just copy and paste themselves overnight. Her name is Wang Jing, and she calls herself Principal Wang. I mean, what are you the principal of? The University of Botox? She's from Zhejiang and she's sitting at around 1 million followers. And how did she get famous? Not dancing, not even a national scandal. She built herself by documenting on her entire plastic surgery journey like it's a vlog series. Now this might actually be genius because most influencers lie or gatekeep about their plastic surgery. Meanwhile, Wang said, yeah, I got botched. Yeah, I tried to fix it. Yeah, I injected 66 tubes into my face. What about it? And people ate that up. I mean, it ate so hard that people were literally willing to pay to look just like you. Yeah, you see where this is going. She admits that she spends half of every year recovering from surgeries. So that basically means 6 months getting procedures and 6 months healing. And she calls her beauty well-deserved. I mean, technically she's not wrong. If you survive that many needles, swelling, and touch-ups, I guess you just call them your battle scars. Now, the whole foundation of her empire is that innocent, sweet, harmless, permanently young kind of look. Basically, you're trying to look like you've never paid taxes in your life. Wang even jokes that her face has frozen time. Yeah, frozen time, frozen age, frozen ability to portray emotions. And taking a look at her transformation timelines, she legit turned it into patch notes for updates. She shows the outcomes of Wang Jing 1.0, Wang Jing 2.0, and Wang Jing 3.0. I wish I was making this up. Stage 1. We tried, it didn't go well. Her original face, gone, lost, dumped into the archives. Her 1.0 version had double eyelid surgery, rhinoplasty, and heavy forehead fillers. And she was going for a more mature, glamorous vibe. But it didn't really, you know, hit at all. Stage 1 had left eyelid scars, uneven creases, crooked nostrils. She said she got a snake-like nose, and somehow her forehead also got rounder and bigger. Okay, wrap it up. We gotta restart the whole project. This is actually sad. Now, stage 2, the emergency, fix everything quickly stage. Stage 1 failed, so she went crazy with corrections here. She fixed and narrowed her eyelids, opened inner and outer eye corners, added under eye bags, redid her nose completely, and lifted mouth corners so she looks like she has a permanent smile. She literally redesigned her whole face to look like she's mildly pleased. And she's slowly starting to look like every other Douyin influencer out there. Finally, stage 3. Let's inject every element of the periodic table into my face. At this point, she became obsessed with achieving the perfect baby face using injections. In one session, she got a total of 66 tubes of hyaluronic acid just absorbed all into her face. And the price? Over 1 million yuan. That is $140,000. And the crazy thing is, she is aware of the side effects of overfilling that these doctors are telling her. Things like lumps and bubbling under the skin. She admits that she does get those side effects, and all she has to do is just get a repair procedure for her procedure. What are we doing? And after 9 years of countless surgeries, she had finally unlocked her final form. And here we go. One day, something goes off in her head, and she's like, what if I turn this into a business? This face, I'm about to mass produce it. She didn't just become the product. She became the template. So, enter Wang Jing's Face Factory. She opened a clinic where her face was the reference model. Like, imagine going to a barber and the only cut you can get is the same one as the barber. Wang Jing calls this the Wang Jing Kingdom, and she literally markets it as a membership system. To become a citizen of her kingdom, you need to at least spend 50,000 yuan. That's about $7,000. Entry fee, by the way. And inside the clinic, she consults you, shows you her face as the goal, and gets a chief surgeon to do the work. So she's basically influencer, salesperson, and the boss. The prices here are also insane, like 3 hyaluronic acid injections for about 38,000 yuan. Shoulder reshaping, yes, she sells shoulders as well, for around 25,000 yuan. And it turns out that there are hundreds of people paying for this. According to posts on Douyin and Xiaohongshu, over 517 people, including men, have undergone procedures to look like her. And these fans are proud too. They literally post selfies like, I finally joined Wang's kingdom. Like as if they just joined Wang's assembly line. One girl named Jingjing spent over 60,000 yuan, around $9,000, and says she finally felt beautiful and confident. If paying thousands to look like someone makes you feel that way, all to you, queen. And you also can't customize anything. You have to follow her template. Same plan, same doctor. People literally stand next to Wang in photos like, which one is the real one? Spot the difference,
我的额头就是比较往后倒，然后就是装修一下我的额头还有我的眼尾。
今天的话，我们子倩是涉及到精致度了啊，升级一下。第一个是你的这一块的额结节可以给它拉出来一点，然后就高光明显一点。包括你的脸是偏这种扣面脸啊，正方形脸，可以让脸变得更加的高质感一点。
这里上班的时候都要放弃美美，感觉之前都没有效果，解决她的面部问题。这里太垂了。 期待一下吧，期待。
And wow, what a beautiful sight. They look just alike. Those ears are so badly bruised, they look like pig ears. Shared face worldwide. Oh my god, what is wrong with this girl's face? I know just the thing for you. There we go, much better. Just the way I like it. I genuinely wonder how many shadow clones there are today. Of course not everybody is buying into this. Netizens are calling it terrifying and kinda eerie as well, which, makes sense. It's like you walk into a room and everybody just stares at you with the same face. I mean, how is this even legal? Oh my god, what did they do to her? Like, this actually has to be a crime, because why is it giving... Wanjing wants to create her own kingdom where everyone can unlock the door using facial recognition on the same phone. There's even a viral joke going around like, we don't ask to be born on the same day, but we do ask to have the same face, nose, and doctor. To be fair, Wanjing does always say that cosmetic surgery is personal, it's your own decision, and it's your own money. Which, okay, that is valid, but, you know, you are influencing, like, millions of people, so I feel like there's at least an ounce of responsibility you have. So at this point, she's got over 500 people looking like her, she's charging entry fees like it's a VIP nightclub, and basically running an aesthetic cult. But one day, Wang Qing got into this massive scandal with another influencer named Han Anren, aka Abby. And this is the kind of person that you do not want to mess with in this space. Now let me really paint Abby's character here, because this is really important. She isn't just any regular influencer. She's made a name for herself, and she's also been on the reality show Metamorphosis, which already means she knows how public attention works, and she's been through drama. I mean, she's been through 4 marriages. And over time, she built this reputation of, if you argue with her, you're probably gonna lose. She doesn't do that fake, let's keep things peaceful act. Abby had just gone through her 2nd pregnancy, and naturally her body, you know, changed. She gained weight and posted unfiltered postpartum pics. And Wang saw that and thought, yeah, I can use this. She started taking Abby's least flattering photos and putting them next to her own polished, filtered, perfected images. Then she implied, yeah, she got plastic surgery at my clinic. I made her beautiful. Take a look at the before and after. And she didn't just do that once. It turns out that she's been doing this for 2 to 3 years, using Abby as a template. You can already see a huge lawsuit incoming. Fast forward to October of 2024, and Abby is on a live stream. She straight up just says, when did I ever go to your clinic? And she threatens legal action and states that every video is 6,000 yuan compensation. The total can reach 10,000 yuan. And honestly, that's her being nice, because this is literally defamation plus false advertising all in one combo. But for now, it's alleged.
我非常明确的告诉大家，我韩冉不是找的汪静度的，他天天说我是找的他度的，这叫做恶意宣传。我妈告死你团队，我找律师，我把你全告。我在直播间公然警告你，然后我不是在你汪静那做的，你凭什么说我是找你汪静的？你汪静确实很漂亮，本人我也看到过，很漂亮。但是你为什么你蹭我韩冉流量，蹭我韩冉的热度？你为什么你要骂我？你要拉踩我？你买了多少营销号，黑了我多少稿？我今天晚上全部找律师，我全部给你告了。你只要再敢发一个，你发一条我告一条。你这医美赚钱是吧？我赔不死你。对你很漂亮，你的心好看嘛？
So Wang's response is like she just woke up and, you know, suddenly lost her memory. She responded with, I don't remember posting that at all. Then deletes the video quietly. Wang, you literally ran with this for years. You got caught in 4K. And some netizens even dug deep and found out that she apparently paid for fake articles saying Abby joined her kingdom. So Abby is like, you want to play? The next day at 2:53 a.m., this post shows Abby holding her ID card, unblurred, and she says, Wang Jing is committing tax evasion. Wang earns 5 to 8 million yuan per month. She's invaded tens to hundreds of millions in taxes. Well, that took a turn for the worst. This went from, stop taking my pictures, to, you might be committing a financial crime that'll put you behind bars for years. Tax evasion is no joke in China, by the way. You can get sentenced to prison for years. And netizens instantly said, you picked a fight that you cannot win. People actually respected Abby more because she showed her ID, and she even said that she'd take full responsibility if she was lying. Now it becomes a bigger thing because this isn't just about Wang anymore. This exposed the whole system where these cosmetic consultants use personal accounts, where payments aren't properly recorded and invoices just magically don't exist, which of course makes tax evasion 10 times easier. This also relates to terms like ghost clinics or flying knife doctors, which essentially means unlicensed, underground, sketchy operations. Now, what is Wang supposed to do at this point? Nothing, I guess. At first, she plays confused. Then, when the pressure started building up, she drops an official statement a couple days later. She said Abby spread false info, claims emotional distress, she says she hired lawyers, and even confirms a lawsuit. She also tried to minimize the damage, saying, "The videos only showed her briefly, I didn't post it intentionally, and I wouldn't provoke her knowingly." As of now, there isn't any ongoing news about the accusations. It seemed like they both kind of moved on, because Wang Jing is still, you know, cloning herself with a bunch of different patients, and the numbers keep climbing, more than 500 people. But I do feel like Abby and Wang had some private conversations behind closed doors, or maybe even money under the table, just to avoid this entire massive scandal. And Wang also receives commissions from other clinics or even free treatments in exchange for promoting them. So you start to see the full picture here. This one's been wild, honestly, and Wang Jing's empire continues to grow day by day with her copying and pasting her face onto other people. Until one day, maybe you walk into a cafe and you see one of the 500 Wang Jings there are out there. Or maybe it's the original one. Who knows? And if the thought of changing your face to look like somebody else ever comes across your mind, just use my face as a template. Kidding, do not do that. You are setting yourself up for failure. Imagine you're just casually walking through a mall, minding your own business, and maybe you step into an LV store to, you know, admire some overpriced bags that you probably won't even buy. And suddenly, a woman walks in, goes straight up to the saleswoman, and starts yelling at her for calling her husband daddy. And next thing you know, they almost get into a fight with the entire mall watching from the sidelines. So this crazy situation went down in Anhui province in China at this luxury mall where most of our, you know, beloved rich socialites go to, called Yintai Center. And on the evening of October 23rd, a woman named Yu Han, we'll just call her Yu, entered a Louis Vuitton store. She goes straight up to the saleswoman behind the counter, no small talk, reaches in her bag, and pulls out 2 passports. She shows the saleswoman the 2 photos, and the first thing she says is, "First of all, we are legally married."
Okay, let me go see.
Obviously, people are exhausted by this hyper-curated perfection online.
People with really unique features I find more attractive now because I find them more interesting because everybody is starting to look the same.
But the deeper I watch this unfold, the more uncomfortable I've become, because somewhere along the line, these conversations about beauty standards stopped sounding like concern and started to sound more like whose beauty is and isn't
What is
valid.
going on?
Suddenly, your look is being labeled as cheap, mass-produced, common, basic, tacky.
What happens when one face gets mass-produced to the point of cheapness?
Common. Social media changes the beauty standards faster than how I drive to Taco Bell when the nacho fries are back. It seems like everyone now seems trapped in this endless race to avoid becoming basic, to be unique, to be different, to stand out, to be the next version of beautiful before this current one expires. But here's the problem. People have rejected the whole era of the Instagram face and the copy-paste face only for this whole mess to be completely repeated. And for some weird reason, we keep buying it. Hello everybody, it is me, Salem, and welcome back to my commentary Chanel, where I talk about pop culture, whatever's trending, whatever I feel like talking about at the time, or conversations that I keep seeing online, which is this face that you see everywhere on Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, I don't know, Indeed, has basically reached its limit and has completely gone expired. Instagram face is dying. The Kylie Jenners of the internet are now being found jobless, struggling. The Instagram baddies had their era to shine, but now apparently, according to the internet, that shine is dimming out. Everywhere we're seeing conversations about this new phenomenon called copy-paste face syndrome. It's time we kick that out and start replacing this face with faces like this. People like Bella Hadid and, I don't know, who else is popular right now? Leah Halton. This term keeps showing up in my algorithms and even my YouTube feed, and I don't really have to over-explain it to you guys because I'm pretty sure you guys know exactly what this is was referring to, which is that, girl, everybody's looking the same. What's considered copy-faced syndrome used to not be considered copy-faced syndrome, you know? This was before this face seems to be plastered everywhere. It used to just be referred to as like influencer makeup or like Instagram face, but the term itself has evolved so much throughout the years. A face that was once associated with influencer culture, pop culture, the rise of Instagram beauty aesthetics. As this look became more and more mainstream and more people started to adopt this look, the same makeup styles, the same cosmetic procedures, fillers, and facial features, the internet started to rebrand it quickly as copy-paste face syndrome. Basically, this aesthetic has become so popular online that it's pretty much impossible to not scroll into, you know what I mean? I could throw a rock in the TikTok algorithm and it could bonk the head of 10 gals who look basically all like, what is it, paternal twins? Or would it be quadruplets? Octuplets? Point is, everyone and their mama look the same. This look became super hyper visible, people labeling it as mass produced, almost like a product. And girl, that product has been sold out and people are exhausted with it. And honestly, I do not blame them for being tired of this look. We are now done with the Instagram face, copy paste face syndrome era, and we are now in the burnout era. I know there's lots of eras, okay? The eras to or who. I think everyone has trauma from this era, which is very interesting to see unfold before my eyeballs. People are tired of the curated perfection, the super still face not moving, tired of beauty becoming super increasingly expensive, performative, and at this point kind of unattainable. And for the longest time, this look also came with really negative connotations, such as cosmetic addiction, it low-key being associated with the Kardashians, which we all know how everyone feels about the Kardashians at this point.
Well, just as I thought, trash.
Editing and Facetune culture, crazy procedures such as the fox eye surgery, and also how young girls were internalizing these standards. And honestly, all of these critiques are valid. But I also think something deeper started happening as this era is coming to a close, and at this point is just dead and gone and buried 6 feet under, and people are the grave. The internet became obsessed with avoiding sameness. And I don't know if anyone else is observing this specifically with like Gen Z, but Gen Z is really obsessed with trying to look unique and be the main character. The concept of main character syndrome has been talked about a lot within Gen Z, but I feel like no one really talks about how that same logic is applied when it comes to beauty. I mean, just now there is like the whole clean girl, the old money, the quiet luxury girl, the effortless natural beauty girl. No celebrity looks like me trend because I'm so unique. The AI baseball trend where supposedly you get caught on a baseball game, cam, and you look really hot, but then again, it's just the AI version of you, so sis, it's really not technically you. Not wasting the water. Some of you guys really killed Finding Nemo for this. I do not approve. Everyone has trauma from this face, whether it's this face making you feel like you're not good enough, this face making you feel ugly, this type of face making you feel pressure to get cosmetic surgery. There is some sort of negative feeling that comes with the whole
It's
Instagram
the fucking
face.
default
That I feel like
face.
a trauma response we are all collectively
Fucking
feeling is that
ugly.
we're so scared to look like this that we're doing everything in our power to look unique. Mix that with Gen Z's terrifying fear of feeling basic, average, or replaceable, and you get this new thing that we're seeing online, where instead of this just being a face or a trend, it's now being deemed morally incorrect. And the girls who are stuck in this era, or were just born with this face, or, you know, looked like this to begin with before other, you know, white influencers popularized it and rebranded it, are
That
now
is
being
fucked up,
actively
but
told
I can say
they
that
look
because I have a
cheap, that they look
default face.
replaceable, and that their beauty is not valid.
Rarely anyone was truly
I
born
think
to
I
look
have a
like an
default
Instagram
face.
filter. Same lips, same brows, same angles. Instead of standing out, it's exactly blending in. Just like when the government prints too much money.
Well, I
money
don't have
loses
that.
value.
And I don't know,
have
guys.
that
I don't
type of
know. I
default
don't
face.
think
I have
that
Monster Hunter
that's
Rise.
very fun, fresh, funky, or
Character
cool. I
number one
don't. I don't.
default
This conversation is a lot deeper than filler. Also, I apologize for my voice. For some reason, I have been losing it. So it's gonna go in and out, you know, in this video. I apologize. I wish the only in and out I could offer you guys was the In-N-Out burger animal style fries, but unfortunately that is not the situation. So hopefully my voice can get better by the next couple of videos. videos. But I think this conversation surrounding beauty standards and Instagram face wasn't truly about the filler, the Botox, and the glam and the Facetune. At one point, it became about status, morals, and a superiority complex against women who look like this. Because the second too many women got access to this so-called cheap and outdated beauty look, the internet suddenly started to treat these women as less valuable. I think what makes this conversation specifically about copy-paste face syndrome and Instagram face and the whole baddie girl era very different from any other beauty timelines that we have lived through is that people aren't saying this face and makeup and aesthetic seems outdated now like normal people. No, the way that people are talking about this situation is very passionate. And again, I get it because low-key traumatic era, not gonna lie. But the conversation has stopped sounding like genuine critique and really great, like productive conversations, and it has quickly turned into something entirely different.
I predict, and I feel like it's already kind of a trend, that people are going to start being more attracted to people that are very interesting looking. Yes, they're attractive, but it's like boring. Like you look at their face and it's like, okay, they're really pretty, but then the longer you look at it, you're like, okay, and what else? Like,
besides a lot of people, and again, your uncle twice removed on your grandma's side, talking about the era finally dying, I've seen a lot of TikToks, Instagram Reels, and YouTube video essays about this exact topic that I agree with to an extent. A video that popped up on my feed recently was about a fellow commentary YouTuber, Zoe Unlimited. Her video called Oops, Your Face is Out of Trend. In her video, she makes a lot of points about exactly what I'm talking about in this video. A lot of points that were really great, and a lot of points that were not so great, in my opinion. That's my opinion! That really kind of missed the bigger picture when it comes
I feel
to
bad,
this
but
conversation.
Lestraxon,
It's so much
I
more
always,
than a face being
I always felt
rebrand.
something
It's
was
so
off
much
with
more
this
than
guy.
just people throwing this aesthetic away. Again, it's a lot deeper than the Botox. Her video reflects a bigger blind spot in internet beauty discourse. And it really, really inspired me and prompted me to make this video as kind of like an analysis and a response to that video and the blind spots, because they're very, very important to discuss. Because at one point, making a video essay about how you feel about a topic and then just straight up calling other people cheap looking, tacky, or expired kind of comes off as a little distasteful.
So how did a colored girl from Oakland become the it girl of every film?
Now, before I deep dive into this particular part of the video, I want to tell you guys, please, 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 do not send Zoe any hate, any harassment, anything that could possibly make her feel down or anything like that. That is not the point of this section of the video, or even this video in general. I believe that we can agree to disagree, and we can also talk about things that we don't necessarily agree with without it getting nasty, okay? And obviously that is not my fan base. I don't believe you guys watching this would do that because y'all are sweethearts. You guys are my angels, and I don't believe you guys would do that. So please do not do that. Let's have a respectful, productive conversation, okay? Thank you. Anyways, mama don't play that game, and if you start to talk bad about Zoe in my comments, I will block you. I will go there. Point is, this video became pretty popular because in this video, Zoe uses Kylie Jenner, as always, and as I have done in the past, as a case study surrounding this conversation, this phenomenon. Basically how the internet beauty standards evolve, peak, and eventually fall out of favor. The main argument is that the hyper-glam Instagram face aesthetic Kylie helped popularize in the late 2010s, meaning heavy filler, Botox, intense makeup, the dramatic look, became so widespread and oversaturated online that people eventually started to reject it. The video frames this as a part of a larger cycle where beauty standards move like fashion trends, and once too many people adopt a certain look, it loses its exclusivity and social value, much like designer brands. Zoe basically argues that the baddie aesthetic associated with influencers and Instagram culture started becoming viewed as excessive, fake, overdone, and cheap, which sounds very microaggressive in my opinion, but we will get back to that later, which is why we're seeing this new shift in the it girl becoming old money, clean girl, quiet luxury. The overall point of Zoe's video is that beauty standards now move so fast that essentially this face is giving Temu and this face is giving Prada, and how it literally fades in and out of trend just the way clothes would. And honestly, nothing wrong with that. I think it was a well thought out video. I think Zoe does a great job job at, talking about uncomfortable topics, but throughout the video, there is a lot of stuff that come off as microaggressive that completely dismiss the history of why certain things are the way that they are, and how some of it really just comes off as not the best way to talk about something. But before we get that deep into this video, and trust me, it gets deep, like deeper than my pores and blackheads I have while editing this video, I have a sponsor. Hello, welcome to Mi Oficina. We're taking a quick break because this portion of the video is sponsored by Mint Mobile. I don't know about you guys, but looking at my old phone bills used to be like a whole event that used to stress me out. My husband and I have been super busy these last few years with him going back to school to finish his degree, and we've been trying to be smarter with our money. So when we both realized that we were paying so much money for wireless, we weren't even aware that it was costing essentially a whole arm. That's why I wanted to tell you guys about Mint Mobile. If you're not on Mint Mobile, telling you now, you're getting ripped off. .com/Salem. Thank me later. When you
Love
look at the
you,
comment
but I
section,
don't
it seems
like
like
your
everyone blindly
advertisements.
agreed with this video. The comments on this video also come off as a little bit of passive aggressiveness because of the way Zoe
come on,
executed
man,
her
that's over.
points throughout this video and the tone that she used. The comments definitely follow the same kind of tone and execution, or a lot of them kind of follow the same themes, such as, imagine spending thousands of dollars on a face just for it to become mass-produced to the point where you now look cheap. Yikes. These women are going to look weird as hell when they are old. I personally don't even find the Instagram face attractive. I love looking at people's unique features, especially as an artist. I remember seeing Madison Beer for the first time and couldn't get the hype around her beauty. She literally
Okay, I
looked like
can
an AI's
relate to
definition
Eritrea. I
of
love my
beautiful.
mom
Like
too.
the type of face I've seen millions of times. I understand the intention behind Zoe's video and was to have productive conversation about a very real problem that's happening right now, which is, yeah, everyone does look the same, and the way that people are achieving it is probably not the healthiest or the nicest way. But unfortunately, this comment section and Zoe's video is just not giving girls girl. And when I say giving girls girl, that's also not me saying the only way we can give girls girl is if we completely ignore the negative connotations and the negative, grander consequences of plastic surgery and beauty standards and toxic expectations on women and just blindly accept it. That is not what I'm saying. But I do think there's a difference between critiquing this movement and then just straight up calling women who are clearly beautiful, such as Madison Beer, Kylie Jenner, or features that are historically deep-rooted in women of color, specifically black and brown women, as cheap and replaceable and just not worth giving a second glance. Or labeling a whole group of women who do look hyper-feminine as not worthy of giving the time of day or getting to know deeper, as if they don't have their own bodily autonomy, their own stories, their own traumas, and their own humanity. Somewhere along the way of us having a trauma response to this type of face becoming popular, there has been a weird silent agreement that when it comes to people who look like this, the lack of empathy goes down. They don't deserve empathy and understanding. The empathy surrounding these conversations disappear really, really fast. Cruelty became normalized as long as it was framed as social commentary or making a point. People will say they're critiquing the system, the trends, but then start immediately humiliating people, mostly women, for their faces, bodies, aging, surgeries, appearances, or making theories of how they will look like when they're older. And I just don't think that's fair or kind. Because at the end of the day, the biggest thing that Zoe in this comment section kind of didn't acknowledge is that people who participate in beauty standards are just people navigating a culture that constantly tells women that their value is directly tied to how they look. And if they can't achieve that, then they're practically worthless. And it's giving into the narrative that they should be punished for pursuing it. But also, women get punished if they don't pursue it. Even though with this new wave of beauty standards of supposedly natural, quiet luxury and all this stuff, the it girls that are representing this movement still have plastic surgery, still wear makeup, still have beauty enhancers, except it's considered clean and elegant and luxurious because they're more white passing and highly focused on Eurocentric beauty, which Zoe completely fails to mention in her video. One aspect of this conversation that I think often gets lost is the debate has quietly shifted away from critiquing beauty standards themselves and toward critiquing the actual women who participate in them. For years, many of the features that later became associated with Instagram face were features historically linked to Black, Latina, Middle Eastern, and other women of color. Fuller lips, curvier bodies, fox eye aesthetics, darker features, dramatic makeup, long nails, and an overtly higher form of femininity.
Everybody's entitled to their opinions, but sometimes you guys really try to reach. So let me put some things in perspective for you. No hate to Kylie Jenner, she's a beautiful woman, but I was born with this face, She bought it 4 years ago.
While the exact origins of the look are sometimes described as ambiguous, the truth is that that's just not true. So using words like cheap, tacky, basic, or classless kind of feel a little bit microaggressive. Those words may be intended as a critique of the beauty trend in itself, or how people get stuff to enhance their features to look like that, but it makes it really hard for me to fully believe that was the intention, as in Zoe's case.
Shit, what if it's just
some
human
evidence of her
evolution? Like,
calling
people are
Zendaya
getting
a
more beautiful
colored
now.
person.
So how did a colored girl from Oakland become the it girl of every film, show, magazine, brand, get herself casted in a redhead role straight from being a Disney kid without ever dancing?
And it makes me really question the authenticity and the intentions behind videos such as
Because
these,
Harvey
and what
Weinstein
beauty truly
got
means, and what exactly
owned.
represents natural and the right type of beauty. What makes the current moment particularly interesting is that many people celebrate the decline of Instagram face as though beauty standards themselves have completely disappeared. That's not happening, and it hasn't happened. In reality, they simply changed uniforms. What's really happening is the difference is that one beauty ideal was being criticized for being too obvious, while the other one is being praised for appearing effortless. But in many ways, they kind of overlap each other. It is completely a lose-lose situation. And it's damned if you do get plastic surgery, damned if you don't. Damned if you do this type of makeup style, damned if you don't. And guess what? In this new era of the it girl becoming the wealthy, rich, white lady look, is probably going to have the same exact critique 5 years down from the line from now. Where, oh, so you're trying to be quite luxury? Girl, that's you giving into the beauty standard. What bothered me so much about Zoe Unlimited's Oops Your Face is Out of Trend video is not that she was talking about beauty trends changing. Obviously trends change, and I think she always does an excellent job talking about that and comparing it to something that makes sense. The issue is that I think the conversation completely missed a deeper racial component and even class dynamics underneath it all as to why certain looks are considered cheap looking, over dramatic, overdone, etc., etc. And I say this as someone who loves Zoe and enjoys her content overall.
That's the big thing
A lot of
about this
features
city.
associated
I
with
just gotta
Instagram
fucking learn
face were historically mocked on women of color before they even became profitable, trendy, or attached to influencers and acceptable and whiteness. Fuller lips, curvier bodies, hyper-feminine makeup, and glamorous aesthetics, racial ambiguity, all of these things went through cycles of being ridiculed, even fetishized, and even commercialized. And now suddenly they're being reframed as tacky, low status, and now that they've become too accessible or too associated with everyday women online, it's seen as not valid. I think very often we forget that not all forms of feminine beauty or male beauty is meant to come off as subtle or effortless, which brings us to a deeper conversation as to why I think it's important to question why certain forms of femininity are allowed while other ones get treated as lower status than others. One glorifies being visibly beautiful, while the other glorifies looking as though beauty simply happens to you naturally. One sells transformation, the other subtleness. One tells women to become desirable through enhancement, the other tells women to become desirable through the appearance of effortless perfection. But both encourage constant self-surveillance, comparison, consumption, and insecurity. I guess what I'm saying is that sometimes the critique goes beyond the real toxicity behind the Instagram face, and sometimes it just feels like a critique of the fact that it's obvious. It's easier to critique because it's obvious, or at least more loud, colorful, and dramatic. The contour, the filler,
But I want to level up my jewel
lashes, visible
crafting,
glam,
man.
BBLs, overlined lips, and an unapologetically hyper-feminine aesthetic. You could immediately tell someone was participating in beauty culture because the beauty labor behind this look was very visible. But what a lot of people don't talk about is how we're swinging in the opposite direction. We're going from Instagram face to TikTok beauty. And TikTok beauty, by contrast, sells itself as effortless. Blueberry nails, cherry red cheeks, vanilla contour, and other food items for some reason. The bare face, except the bare face was attained through really intense laser resurfacing for $400 in downtown LA. The enhancement of freckles that someone bought as eyebrow tint, the secret blowouts, the Hailey Bieber and Leah Haltons of TikTok being scarily thin, which I talked about in my last video. This is TikTok pretty, to seem effortless, to seem just genetically blessed, more digestible, quiet, literally quiet luxury, and TikTok pretty are often treated as inherently more sophisticated, elegant, and aspirational than the other because they're literally the bipolar opposite of the Instagram face.
When is the makeup starting to look like you're wearing too much? What is that fine line between just perfect and Ugh, she's wearing too much makeup.
However, I don't think it's any coincidence that now, at a time where purity culture, religion, and white praise politics, that this aesthetic in every it girl that represents TikTok, such as Alex Earl and then the other Alex, and then people who also evade the critique of looking the same, are being praised nonstop. And we're being told that this is the new aspirational version of pretty, and it doesn't merely get enough critique as Instagram face. Meanwhile, both faces are obtained through various surgeries, tons of makeup, and yes, even Botox. This is why I'm making this video, because I've noticed that the discussion surrounding beauty standards now is becoming less and less about appearance and more about who is perceived as refined enough to belong. Instagram versus TikTok pretty are not opposites. They're sisters. They're both built on the same foundation, making women feel like they're constantly one procedure, one product, one diet, one trend cycle away from finally becoming enough. The aesthetic has changed, but the pressure never did. Historically speaking, women have always had eras in time where they looked similar through fashion, makeup, and how they expressed themselves. Flapper makeup in the 1920s had thin brows, dark lips, and identical silhouettes, even down to the body type of being slender. The 1950s had the same curled hair, red lips, and hyper-feminine glamour. The 1980s had huge hair, dramatic blush, and bold makeup. Then, the 2000s had overplucked eyebrows, orange tans, and frosted lips. Entire generations of women have historically followed the same beauty trends, standards, and pressures because beauty has always been social, cultural, and influenced by the time period people live in. Like, girl, if I was in the 1980s, I too would be wearing whatever this is, and I would eat. Okay, I would eat. Maybe uranium, but you know, that's just how it is. What I find very weird is that every single one of these timelines, eras before us, have been eras that glamorized and prioritized Eurocentric beauty. But the one time that an era glamorized black and brown features, it becomes a moral debate. This era specifically gets treated as if it's some uniquely horrifying societal collapse. And I think the answer to that is a lot more complicated than people want to admit, because obviously, of course, like I said at the beginning of this video, it has come with a lot of cons. I want that to be very, 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 very obvious that that's how I feel. It has come with a lot of cons. At the same time, every beauty era came with harmful pressures. The heroin chic glorified extreme thinness. The 1950s pushed rigid domestic femininity and impossible bodily expectations. In the 2000s, people normalized rib cages, low-rise jeans, and white lipstick, okay? Women have taped their faces for ages, corseted their waists till they couldn't breathe for decades, damaged their feet until it's completely unrecognizable, chemically altered their hair, physically reshaped themselves for beauty standards throughout history. Beauty standards being incredibly unhealthy for all of us, no matter what they are, is unfortunately not new. And just because this new era is being sold to us as more natural, more effort, more subtle, more quiet, doesn't mean that it's not just as, if not more, damaging than the Instagram face era. I really do try to be nuanced in the majority of my commentary videos because I like to see the perspectives of where everyone's coming from, whether you are someone who, like I said, was damaged by this face or through this era found a newfound confidence. But for some reason, my main point of damned if you do, damned if you don't, no matter your experience with, for example, this type of face, whether you had decided to pursue it or not, got completely filtered out, misinterpreted, and completely reworded. Sometimes I feel like people are very dedicated to misunderstanding me and my intentions when I talk about beauty, because when it comes from a messenger who looks like me, people get very uncomfortable. And they often hear me making excuses, interpret my points where I actively acknowledge the harm and everything, the consequences that these things very clearly have, as excuses, as me reframing it, or as saying, it's not that bad, but that's 100% not what I'm doing at all. I think people were so dedicated to misunderstanding me that I'm also fearful to make this video in fear that it's gonna happen all over again. I hope not, to the point where they stop hearing what's actually being said, or at least the message that I'm trying to convey, which is, no matter how you look like, no matter what you do to achieve it or not to achieve it, whatever aesthetic is trending, as a woman, you're gonna lose, unfortunately. And belittling each other and shaming one another for achieving that standard and even not achieving that standard is making this whole cycle worse. The fact that everyone kind of was able to successfully rebrand this Instagram baddie look that once represented confidence, fierceness, and divadom has quickly been rebranded as cheap, common, and even villainous in exchange for something else that is coming off as soft, soft, quiet, and not in the way. Even though both aesthetics can involve intense maintenance, social performance, and it's just coded differently. The problem isn't that beauty trends exist, well, that is a problem. It's that the internet keeps assigning morality, intelligence, class, value to whatever face is trending at the moment. And no matter who you are, what aesthetic you like, I just can't get behind that messaging. Because here's the contradiction no one wants to talk about. If everyone is desperately trying to be unique and different all at the same time, it literally circles back into the same thing that we're critiquing. Sameness, or more so, beauty becoming common. This is an obsession problem. Somewhere along the line, people started treating commonality like a failure. Like if your beauty resembles other women's beauty, that it's basically worthless. And I really do think all of this is really genuinely us just repeating the same thing every era has taught us over and over and over again, which is to hate each other and to hate ourselves, which is the true villain here. The villain isn't lip filler. The villain isn't having like a expensive Coach ring stack. The villain is the fact that this is an industry that is continuously teaching us to hate ourselves and is continuously making billions of dollars off of newfound insecurities and new eras that are made up within 2 to 3 business days. And it's just not giving girls girl, okay? Like, your beauty is still beauty, even if you're not like the most breathtaking, most gorgeous drop dead person in the room. Even if your makeup follows trends that you like, even if your features are popular in the moment or aren't popular anymore, even if other people look like you or if they don't look like you. There's nothing morally wrong with participating in what makes you feel good, especially if it's in a healthy, fun way that makes you feel good and confident. There's absolutely lines that can be crossed when it comes to those things, but as long as you are doing things within your own safety in a healthy way that makes you feel loved, that makes your self-love feel stronger, then I say go for it. I think the internet has convinced people that individuality is something you must constantly perform in order to deserve value, but human beings have always influenced each other, always, and we will continue to do so. We've always shared styles, aesthetics, beauty rituals, fashion, art, culture, self-expression. That's not the death of individuality. That's literally just part of being human. And because of all of this mess, the internet has started to treat beauty as something that is meant to be gatekept, something that is meant to be exclusive. Like the second too many women become desirable, in the same way, suddenly it becomes basic, cheap, and we gotta rebrand. What's the next move? How can we make this impossible for women? Oh, so the trend was to be skinny? Nope, it has to be curvy now. Oh, so the trend was for
the trend is to be ugly.
Like, girl, you really cannot win nowadays. The internet has created this mentality where people treat attractiveness like a limited edition product. Like if too many people buy this product, then it becomes useless. And sure, maybe if it really was a product, that would make sense. Except humanity is not a product. Society may have convinced us it is, but this is why I think the art of empathy needs to be brought back, not only for each other, but for ourselves. People will say they're critiquing the trends, but then turn around and call a real human being botched, expired, tacky, or dumb for not following the next trend, which is like, girl, meanwhile, the next trend or makeup look or aesthetic is basically the same thing from a couple years ago, just repackaged. All I can say is someone else being beautiful does not take away beauty from you. Another woman being attractive doesn't take away from your worth. But also, if it just so happens that how you look right now isn't up to the beauty standard, that doesn't take away from your beauty either. If how you look right now has nothing to do with what's considered beautiful by society standards, that doesn't take away from your beauty either, even though it feels like it. What we need to start practicing is literally just choosing something that makes us feel confident no matter what the era is. Bringing back the era of empathy, understanding, and the era of allowing people to express themselves the way that makes them feel confident, loved, and beautiful is the next era that we should start. And I know that comes off as very much Mean Girls. I wish we could just make a cake made of unicorns and smiles and eat it all together.
Made out of rainbows and smiles, and we'd all eat, be happy.
She doesn't even go here!
Like, girl, obviously easier said than done, but that's the reason why I made this video, in hopes that someone out there who maybe has been way too hard on themselves, first of all, none of us are perfect, we're gonna give into negative character traits every now and then, can kind of start navigating the world in this new era of the it girl with more mindfulness, to not give into the self-hate and to not give into perpetuating that hate towards other women. And for what it's worth, I don't think there's anything common about anyone who's watching this video video. We truly are all very unique with our own stories, our own backgrounds, and I genuinely believe that no matter how you look like, you are worthy of getting to know and to feel confident. Maybe copy-paste face syndrome was never about everyone looking the same, because no matter how many times we try so hard to escape sameness, every generation eventually creates its own versions of it. I think if the internet spent less time obsessing over whether women's faces are in or out of trends, and they spend more time remembering there are actual human beings attached to these faces, I think we'd be a lot less miserable online. I think the new trend should be do whatever the hell you want, because no matter what you do, you're gonna get judged. So literally do whatever makes you happy and makes you feel confident. Alright. Bye.
Bye. Wait, is this the wrong one? Shit. I'm gonna die. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But is this even the right? Oh, it is. I don't think I have the time for one of these.
Welcome back to Creepcast. We are going to be doing something I don't think we've ever done this before. We're going back, so we've read things before. That was fun, and usually we don't go into the sequels or anything. Mm-hmm. This is the first time I think we've gone back into a series. I know people have wanted us to go back into like the Tales from the Gas Station series. Yeah. People want us to finish the thing in my basement, whatever, and all that stuff. But this was one that we were pretty excited, and we've been talking to the author, Gabby, and she even gave us a little exclusive. So she did, to sweeten the pot.
Yeah, so if you'll remember a while back, we read a story called, let me get it right.
Morning, welcome back. Aw, you tired? Well, wake up. Chug this coffee, is what people used to say. Unfortunately, the best part of waking up now isn't a Folgers coffee commercial, where brother and sister gaze longingly into each other's eyes. Hey mom, might want to get back in here. We're at the point where simple morning rituals like drinking a cup of black coffee to get the day started has evolved into a 5 a.m. sugar adrenaline shot straight to your heart, served to you in a bucket. I'm telling you, with the way we're tired all day and then wired all night, we've turned into sleep-deprived bats with caffeine addictions. There's nothing wrong with getting a little sweet treat every once in a while, but I don't think people are realizing the reason they have constant jitters while simultaneously crashing out at the same time is because they drank an entire day's worth of dessert the moment they woke up. There's like this cool trendy drink culture now where every new release has to be crazier than the last, with more caffeine, with more red 40 dyes, and with more AI generated sounding names so it can appease the algorithm for those sweet views. Take a look at this. Red Bull Dragonberry Energizer.
Und Red Bull Dragonberry Energizer. Ich bin sehr gespannt drauf, ob das so
This looks like it would inflict poison damage on whoever drank it. Don't want to see how unappetizing your beverage looks while drinking it? For the low price of $58, get yourself a beaded drink carrier, each one mirroring its drink's flavor and aesthetic, featuring playful details like fruit charms, pearl lattice, and bold beadwork that elevate a simple beverage into a fashion statement. Or is this the perfect way to slingshot cups of poison at your enemies? Which you might need since Starbucks just announced the return of their Unicorn Frappuccino, only available for the weekend. Better gear up, as they say. You are not getting this drink without a fight. No wonder everyone's living in this caffeine addiction starter pack picture, me included. Insomnia, check. Anxious all the time, check. Hear that? That's the cooling fan next to my heart running at full blast so it doesn't blow up like an old laptop. Wait, that sound's actually not coming from me. Wait, why is my Mac making jet engine noises? Wait, why is it moving out 1 frame per second? Oh no, I got things to do. Actually, just kidding. Thanks to our sponsor, Clean My Mac, helping us avoid this canon event. You'd think by now our devices would be smart enough to keep up with all our shenanigans. We live in a very trendy world these days, where things never last. If it breaks, buy a new one, as our corporate overlords like to say. But I'm sure most of us would be down to try literally anything else before tossing our expensive computers away. Sure, you can go through all the junk yourself, seeing all the screenshots of memes you've collected over the years, but you ever start panic packing the day before you move, and then realize This is a lot. When I'm in the middle of editing a video and I get the dreaded, which seems to always happen when I'm on a time crunch, I'm speedrunning the move to trash button to make space. I have now learned from previous experiences, this is a bad idea. That's why I like Clean My Mac's Space Lens feature, because it makes the whole process super easy. It's basically a bird's eye view of all your inventory with labels, showing you big files you haven't touched in years, clogging up space. So you're not blindly deleting things and realizing, oh no, I just trashed all the photos from my dog's quinceañera. By spotting the problem and giving instant fixes to get your Mac back up to speed, Clean My Mac does all the work for you. Cloud Cleanup helps you track down large files, eating up precious storage space on your iClouds, Google Drives, and Dropboxes without compromising your data, since it scans locally on your Mac. Their Smart Care feature lets you easily change up how your Mac performs based on what you're doing, so everything you do is optimized. Now I can worry less about what's slowing down my Mac and focus on more important things, like gaming at the highest frame rate possible or watching my 100th cat video of the night. Get tidy today. Try 7 days free and use my code EVASION for 20% off. Alright, so now that we've raised our caffeine thresholds to insane in levels of crazy, what's actually going on here? Who is setting the system up where a drink you get at a coffee shop can be your entire calorie and sugar intake for the day? Well, we can take a look at the 3 main culprits normalizing the shift in coffee culture, in color-coded form. The green one, the orange one, and the pink one. These guys over here, they represent the 3 deadly factors that have made insulin coffee bombs possible. And to start us off, let's take a look at the green one, also known as Starbucks. The king of hopping onto trends and making things with the intention of it going viral. Remember when they sold exclusive glass bear cups but only gave each store like 2? People were lining up at 5 a.m. ready to square up with a child. Or their infamous olive oils.
I'm actually
and
really
coffee.
tired. I think I'm gonna call this stream here. To my one viewer. Hello, welcome to the stream. I have to call it here. I'm feeling pretty tired. I'm gonna call it. So, thanks for watching. Till next time, peace. And if you want to watch this video, it's called "Coffee is Just Dessert Now." All right. Peace and love and unity and respect.